1 second.
We're live, bro. The crowd are seeing you brush your beard.
It was looking a bit scruffy, man. I had to get it correct.
Welcome to another episode of Pitstop Fracas. I am your host, Mahad, and we are here to review the 2021 season. It's been a very, very, very long season. And I'm joined by Anik. How are we doing, Anik?
Yeah, I'm good, bro. I'm good. Christmas spirit, you can see with the little hat. Ready to get into this, man. Been a fascinating season. A lot of ups, a lot of downs, but yeah, let's get into this, man. Looking forward to it.
Kunle, how we doing? You finished brushing your beard?
Yeah, I'm good, man. Thanks for having me on. Happy holidays, everyone. How we doing?
Yeah. All good. Long time, Tariq. You're back. How we doing, brother?
What are we saying, people? Comeback season, very, very late, but better late than never. I'm about to do a reintroduction for these lot, for the new lot. Yeah. For the new listeners that don't know, my name is Tariq. You might know me from the Pitstop account. Been tweeting on that a few times lately. First ever Pitstop account to get featured on Worst F1 Takes. You know how it is.
That was a legendary tweet.
Yep, legendary shit. All 52 Alpine stands that exist on Twitter were getting onto me at any one time. I just have to take pride in that. CEO of Gasly Hive, if you don't know. I was on some of the earlier pods, so if you don't want to go back and listen to those, that's fine. But we're coming back. I've come back now, hoping to do a little pod, and hope it goes all good. Thanks for having me, guys.
No worries, man. Hopefully, next season we can have you on a bit more.
Yeah, of course.
Before we get started, what we have to do. We have to plug all the socials. Like Tarek said, we've got the Twitter account, Pitstop Fracas. Please follow us. Same name on Instagram, Pitstop Fracas. We now have separate feeds on Spotify and Apple Music. So please search Pitstop Fracas on Apple Music and Spotify and leave us a good review. Give us 5 stars. Help us out. It will really help us out. So, thank you for rocking with us all season. We now reached over 2,500 followers on Twitter now. So it's actually crazy, all the love and support. So we appreciate all of you. We'll be rocking here next season. The season after that, we've got you. Don't worry about all of that. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to look at the season overall because I think a lot of stuff has happened. It's been a whirlwind. There's been how many races? I think 22 races. I think that's the most races we've ever done in a season in Formula One. And we're going to go all the way back now to Bahrain and Imola, where it all started. What I wanted to discuss first was Bahrain. So we saw all of the stuff beforehand, before the season. We saw the regulations change last minute with the rake banning low rakes, and that particularly affected Mercedes and Aston Martin. And we thought, this could actually be a season that's competitive, not something that we've seen before in the turbo hybrid era with Mercedes dominance. I'll come to you, Anik. Did you think those floor changes and all the testing that we saw in Bahrain would come to fruition and think it would affect Mercedes that badly? Or was you quite optimistic that Mercedes would still be dominant?
So coming off the back of that dominant 2020 season where Hamilton literally and Mercedes stormed it, I genuinely thought that it wouldn't affect them that much. I thought, that their new regs, the Mercs, man, it's not a complete drastic overhaul. It's just a few floor changes. I thought they'll have a bit about themselves and, just tweak the car and, just produce another dominant season-winning machine. Obviously, it didn't turn out to be that way. But, yeah, on the surface, it seemed like, that I thought Mercedes, will come through. Obviously, there was a lot of hype around Red Bull. They said that they could bring forward their engine developments for the 2021 season, which is what they've done. But, to be honest, Bahrain, I was surprised by what Red Bull had. And I think from there, you could see that they had a genuinely competitive car for the season.
Yeah, definitely. And like you just said, what we saw in Bahrain, we saw Lewis on the final laps, having the lead, and saw Max chasing him down, and we thought, oh, Red Bull's actually looking quick here. And we saw one of the most exciting races of the season at the first race. And I think Bahrain should probably stick as the race opener rather than Australia, because that race doesn't bang. It always bangs. So I'll come to you, Tarek. Did you think after that first two races where Lewis won the first one and Max won in Imola, did you think, okay, we've got a title race here? Or did you think Merc would just go on to just walk the floor? And this was just a little purple patch for Red Bull?
Yeah, no, I can't lie. I thought it was just going to be business as usual, to be honest. I thought, despite the fact that we had the preseason testing where Red Bull looked really strong, and so did the AlphaTauri as well, which was the sister team, as I like to call it. I thought, I thought it was business as usual. It's going to be business as usual. I think if there was going to be any sort of kind of deficiencies in the car itself, due to either the low rake, situation, or Mercedes themselves not putting full development into the car, I thought Lewis would kind of make up for that. The team would kind of make up for that. The strategy would kind of make up for that. But yeah, in that case, I was slightly surprised, but not too much, at the fact that Red Bull had actually come out. For that first half of the season, their car was really, really strong. So that was probably it. I think there was just a bit of surprise in regards to that. That Red Bull came out so strong for that first half of the season.
Yeah, you could see with Bahrain, Max, the overtake on the outside, that he had to give the position back. So if that didn't happen, it looked like a likely win for Max there, but he finished P2 in that race. And then we saw what happened in Imola. He was long gone in that race. And the weather played a big factor in Imola. We saw cars sliding off all over the gaff, and then we saw Lewis going off the track as well, but making a great recovery drive to get P2 in that race. But there was another incident in that race, and that is a major crash between Bottas and Russell. Those two were rumored all season that Russell will be taking Bottas's seat. It actually eventually happened, but I think we should have a little quick chat about both their seasons and how opposite they were a little bit. So, Kunle, give us your thoughts on Bottas's season and how it went.
So on a general view, like on the overview of it, I feel like he didn't start well. So, we mentioned Bahrain, right? Like Hamilton and Max finished like almost 30 seconds ahead of him. While they had their squabble in front, it was basically had a lonely race in Bahrain, and there was already rumors of George coming in from last year. When George had that race at Bahrain, and it was already looking a bit shaky for Bottas. So I feel like that pressure had been on him all year, all summer, all winter. And coming in, and Mercedes did this thing with Bottas where they only gave him 1 year contracts, right? So basically, he was driving for his life, and he started on the back foot. And if you've watched Drive to Survive, and if you've listened to Bottas speak, I think it was mentally tasking on him, and I feel like that might have affected his early season performances, even all the way to the end in a way. But in was Imola, right, where him and Russell had that crash. Basically, I feel like that happened because he was in a place where he should not be in, with the nature of his car. It wasn't the fastest car, but it was the second fastest car, and that sort of started precedence of how Bottas' season would go, where he might have a bad qualifying, and instead of having a decent recovery drive where he would be able to overtake the slower cars in front of him, he struggled with that. And when that accident happened, and Russell came over, like it's almost as if at that point Russell knew he was going to get the job, and it's like it's basically just come to, like, it's not little bro, but it's like, when you see your boy, when you see like someone doing something stupid, like yo, what the fuck are you doing? And just tap in the head, like tap his head in the car. But, you know, Russell apologized after that, but I feel like he didn't mean that apology. But it was just like one of those ones where it's like, yeah, whatever, fuck you, you're a bum.
He said, I'm taking your job. When he slapped the helmet, he said, I'm taking your job, brother.
Yeah, basically like, yeah. That, and, you know, that, and I feel like that accident sort of set the precedent for what would be Russell's season as the guy that's going to come up into Mercedes, and what will be Valtteri's season as yo, I don't know where the fuck I'm going to end up. You know, and yeah, that sort of helped Lewis in that race because their accident brought out the red flag after he had gone wide. You know, after he had gone wide and hit the barrier, so he was able to fix his car, have a recovery drive, and finish P2. So yeah, that was that race.
Some conspiracy theorists will say that Bottas and Russell crashed on purpose so Lewis can unlap himself and catch up after the slide off. But
game's the game.
The game's the game, and I think Bottas didn't cover himself in glory, especially in the early parts of that season. He was about to get dunked on by Russell and a Williams, and he's in a Mercedes. So you could kind of see where that was going, and it kind of went downhill from there, especially in terms of helping Lewis Hamilton out throughout the season. So I'm going to come to... welcome, Marks, first of all. People that are listening, Marks has now joined the pod. How are you?
Not too bad. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Well,
have you lost your voice, Martin?
Huh?
Have you lost your voice?
No.
Seems like you've been shouting the past week or something.
No, not really, man.
He's trying to do a Barry White voice. That's what he's trying to do. I'm going to come to you in a bit. Mats. But I'm going to come to you first, Anik. George Russell, did he impress this season? Is it justified that Bottas loses his seat and Russell takes that position with the season that Russell had?
Yeah, I think I just want to come back to the incident that we touched on there. I think the fact that those two were on track next to each other and they collided just goes to show that how far back Bottas was and how well Russell was doing at that moment in time. And even after what was race 2, we're all of a sudden onto Bottas, and there was a lot of rumors there. You know, you need to get a young driver in from Mercedes' point of view to, you know, continue their legacy, continue what they're doing in Formula One. In terms of the season itself, you know, Russell was putting in good performances. You know, they called him Mr. Saturday for a reason. He was nailing qualifying. You know, he got that podium. Did he get a podium in Belgium? He was, podium. We don't speak about that.
Podium. No, but he still got P2 in quali.
He still got P2. That qualifying lap was good. Yeah, that qualifying lap was good. Obviously, Hungary, you know, he finished behind his teammates, but he still managed to get into the points. You know, it meant so much to him that he was crying. Look, let's be honest. He's a young driver. He's won in the F2 divisions. You know, it was time, and I think I'm glad he's got his move. But you know, you're racing for a big team now, and a car that, you know, potentially will be quick next year. So let's see what he has to do. I definitely think that he should have replaced Bottas, because I wasn't pleased at all with Bottas's performance this year. It was a lot of talking, but he didn't really back it up with his on-track performances. So yeah, I think all in all, glad that he got his move. And yeah, let's see what 22 holds for GR63, not PR63.
He's PR63 until we change his name. Until he proves something. I'm going to call him PR63. So Chris, if you're listening or whatever, he's PR63 until he does something at Mercedes. But yeah, fair play, he's done so much. And this season, not even including the Spa stuff. He got P3 in Russia as well in quali. That's a madness. So yeah, he out-qualified both the Mercs and a Red Bull twice. So he's done his thing throughout the season and showed that he's that guy on Saturday. Let's just see if he could pull it up on Thursday. I know there's questions.
Weren't they both in like wet conditions or something?
Hey, listen, that's the great equalizer. Rain is the great equalizer. Rain is the great equalizer.
I'm just saying, there's always a caveat. There's always a caveat when it comes to him, and
That's not a caveat though. When it rains, that makes the cars more equal. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if you perform in those conditions, does that not show your levels? Not.
I think it's still a caveat.
I
still think
I
it's a
say the
caveat.
It
caveat
sounds
is
like
the
an
race
agenda
pace.
to me.
It's
I
not an
don't know
agenda.
about that
I
one.
just
Steve.
feel like I feel like it is a caveat. Like, you
I
know
don't
what?
I
know.
mean,
I don't
so
know.
man, sorry, before you,
I can't listen. He's good at qualifying. He's shown he's good at qualifying at various stages of the season. So big ups to him. But yeah, I feel like there's always a caveat in place when it comes to him. And I think when it comes down to his racing on a Sunday, it's been really poor. I mean, he's gone to Q3 how many times? I understand the car is absolute junk. Like, there's only so much you can expect. But I feel like he could have challenged a bit more for the points this season. In just by the fact that you're qualifying quite high, and I know Williams, their reliability wasn't great, and they had some shocking strategy calls as well this season. But I feel like there was a bit more on his part he could have done to make sure he was fighting for the points, finishing in higher positions rather than just getting into Q3 on a Saturday and then falling all the way back down to P16 on a Sunday. So, like when he was fighting with Alonso and he got P11, those type of performances you want to see, not just falling back down the back in the grid.
Yeah, but he's in an Alpine. He's going against. He's in a
Yeah,
Williams.
no, I'm not. Listen. I'm not like put aside anything I said in the past. I'm just talking about now. Just looking back on the season, I'm just saying you would have liked to see those battles a bit more. Like, obviously, I understand that the Alpine is obviously going to outperform the Williams, but still put on those battles. I find a lot of the time he just gets passed on. And he's not really shown any racecraft on a Sunday that much. And he's going to need to. I don't think we can actually judge his racecraft that well at this moment in time because we haven't really seen much of it when we needed to.
Yeah, I definitely agree with the question marks around his racecraft and his race pace. I think all we got to base on is what he's did in F2 and so on. I think in Formula One, I don't know whether we could blame the car or blame him. We're going to see what happens next season when he's at Merc because I don't think he's going to have any problems qualifying for Mercedes.
Yeah,
it's going to be the question.
And you got to remember, we could say look at F2, but F2 was 4 years ago now, man. And being in the back of the grid can have an effect on you where you're just you will lose some of that. So no matter how great he was in F2, that was 4 years ago. That's a whole Olympics ago. Like, we just got to see next season, I suppose.
Yeah, true. I'll move on to the next two races that we had, which were Spain and Portugal. Mark, so I'm going to come back to you on this one. For those that are listening who didn't watch the races, Spain and Portugal, 2 back-to-back wins for Mercedes, quite comfortable, actually. They looked like they were back in control, and Lewis Hamilton managed to buffer that lead a little bit further. And it looked like everything was well over at Brackley. Mark, at that time, leaving those 2 races, do you think we're going to just head for more Merc dominance? Or was you still wary about Red Bull and what they could offer?
Championship was done. I can't lie. I thought Championship was done. But when I saw the 2 back-to-back wins, I was like, all right, it's back to business as usual. I mean, Max won Imola, and he obviously came second and put in a very good performance at Bahrain. But I was like, when I saw the Spain and Portugal result, I was like, yeah. And they were like comfortable wins as well. It wasn't like anything. I think Max was in the lead at Barcelona for a couple of laps, but then Merc had a great strategy call, and they haven't stopped talking about it ever since. And then it was just Portugal was just another dominant performance, wasn't it? So
I remember.
I actually can't remember much about Portugal, to be honest, but I remember Spain.
Yeah, I remember Anik. You had a point them times that that strategy that Mercedes were making YouTube videos about was actually a fallacy. It was actually Lewis Hamilton that made that work because everybody thought, Red Bull got dunked on strategy wise. But for our listeners that didn't know,
it was just Hamilton's greatness, wasn't it? Like it was shining through. He was able to make the strategy work. Mercedes, we saw times, I think, especially in Spain, Max Verstappen pitted. and he had a slow pit stop that was about 4 or 5 seconds. It just made sense then to bring Lewis in the next lap and cover that off. But Mercedes tried to play the long game. Obviously, Bottas wasn't playing ball in Spain. You know, all these little things that you saw, and it just didn't like cover Mercedes in the best of glory at the time. However, the fact that those two performances were so dominant, I'm with Mats. Honestly, I thought, yeah, they've turned the corner. This Red Bull has got no chance for Mercedes. It's just going to be Lewis's now to lose. But yeah, obviously it didn't transpire that way.
It definitely didn't. I think the next race is where everything kind of changed in terms of how we perceived Red Bull and the Merc dominance. And Mark's just shaking your head. Why are you shaking your head?
I can't remember what 2 it was, but if it's a 2, I think
we're gonna get onto it. I'm gonna get Brother Tarek to speak on this one still. Firstly, we're gonna speak on Monaco. I know you guys don't want to. I know.
Let's speak on Monaco. Let's speak on
Monaco. No one's going to remember 2021 Monaco. It's a dead race. It's shit.
Are you insane?
That's it. Forget about it.
I'm remembering it still. I remember
Hey. We don't remember the race. We
remember Saturday. I remember
Saturday. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I clearly remember Saturday.
Okay, let me just go over what happened on Saturday. So Saturday, quali sessions. I think Charles Leclerc, Ferrari look fast all over the practice sessions. We'll get to Q3. Let's fast forward all the way to Q3 on the Saturday in Monaco. Everybody knows Monaco's a procession race. Quali is the race day, basically. If you get P1 on quali, 99% of the time, unless something goes crazy wrong, you are winning that race. And Charles Leclerc, first Q3 run, stuck it on P1. Great quali lap. Then he had his second lap and he binned it. And people were questioning whether he binned it on purpose because those people behind him, Carlos Sainz, Valtteri Bottas, Max Verstappen, were all on quicker laps than he was on that second gear run. And those laps were going to beat that P1 lap. And if you bin it in Monaco, that's an automatic red flag. Tarek, thinking back onto it, what did you think of that quali session? And do you think that was on purpose by Charles Leclerc?
Well, I can't even lie to you. I don't remember much of Monaco because I mean it's Monaco, right? But like that quali was a funny quali, I remember, because the discussion around that whole thing was so crazy around how Leclerc pretty much just dashed it into the wall. And it was I can't lie, it was very comical in the way that it happened and the timing that it happened. Because everybody was really hyping up that final turn, the final lap, sorry. And then you just see it cut into Leclerc just crashing, just wasted out all onto that little chicane right there. So yeah, I can't lie, I had a few laughs out of it. At the situation, not at the crash. But like I said, the case is that, Monaco, the race is on Saturday, not Sunday. I was going to say, I mean, I remember Sunday for one thing, the case was that Gasly finished above Lewis Hamilton, and I enjoyed that very much. But
that's shameless,
man. Why is he saying it? It's just too shameless, bro. He didn't want to talk about Saturday. He wanted to talk about Sunday.
Listen, when I say I'm CEO of Gasly Hive, I mean it. That means everything Gasly is on me right now. Okay? So Gasly finished up above Hamilton. I enjoyed that very much. But the case was that if we look at the qualifying itself, the case was that Sainz was really he was doing really, really well. And I think the case was that Sainz was looking really dangerous. He looked like he was about to get, up until P1, up until the crash. So the case is that he got himself P3, so he didn't really lose much. He still got himself a podium, which was really good. Not P3, P2 actually. But yeah, I think in regards to the crash being on purpose or not, no, I'm just saying it's Leclerc being Leclerc, and that's it.
Can't drive down his own high street, He's got problems, bro.
Man clocked his yard and just went skirt and just crashed into the wall. Bit mad.
Never finished the race, F1 and F2 in his own
Yep.
own high street. That's outrageous. Kunle, did you?
Yes, my brother.
Did you think that quali session? Did you think those that were behind him were gonna end up pipping him? And
Oh, definitely.
especially Sainz. For people that want to listen back, go on YouTube and look in the Q3 radios. People were fuming. Sainz was fuming.
Sainz was fuming. Max was fuming.
Bottas
was fuming. Them man they were getting. You probably would have been P4, P5.
There was just there was purples everywhere.
It was purples all of
everywhere.
Monaco's like for me personally, racing wise, it's like the deadest track on that circuit. You know, top 5 dead tracks. Monaco's number 1, then Australia's number 2. But Monaco was deading out. And then, you know, up comes the Monegasque youth. What's that his name? Leclerc?
Charles Leclerc.
Percocet.
Le Percocet, man.
Charles
Percocet.
Get it right, bro.
Le Percocet, B.
Le Percocet, you know, aka Mr. Pull Up and Crash. You know, he's cruising around. He's seeing some bad beats on the yacht. He's like, you know, yeah, let's lock off quali. I want to go party quick. You know, I seen some of the hood legends on the yacht. You know, some of the babes in the neighborhood. They're out here on the yacht. You know, they're calling me. Let's lock
this up at the casino real quick.
Yeah, you know.
I said, let me hit up the casino real quick.
Let me put a quick bet on myself not finishing the race tomorrow. So, let's do that quickly. But yeah, I mean, there was 2 things about that weekend for me. Firstly, it was Leclerc being Leclerc, and secondly, it was Ferrari being stupid. How they thought that gearbox was going to survive that crash was beyond me. I don't know if anyone remembers, like they were like, "Oh yeah, it's good to start." They
didn't want to take the grid penalty.
They didn't want to take a grid penalty.
They realized it was on the way to the grid. They realized,
and then
he didn't start that race, did he?
No, he didn't start. He didn't start. I don't know how they thought they could survive. They could go on and finish that, and then. Sorry, I'm going to go back 2 races, yeah, and I'll point out where I realized Mercedes were going to be in trouble with the strategy calls, because that same strategy call came into play in Monaco. If you guys remember when they decided to undercut where everyone else was overcutting. You guys remember Monaco?
Yeah, I remember that.
You remember that?
With Lewis, yeah.
With Lewis, went from P5 to P7 or something like that, where Vettel in the Aston Martin jumped him, and the Aston Martin was trash. The Aston Martin was trash at that point of the season. So, you know, if we go back to Barcelona, firstly, the pit stop. It was a horrible pit stop. If you remember that the pit stop that Lewis took before the end of the race, like Max had gone in, they made a mistake in the Red Bull pit stop, and Mercedes saw it right there. Ideally, what you do immediately is pit Lewis, because you already have like a free second or 2 to just pit, and you don't need to like stress yourself on strategy. But nah, they left it, and then they couldn't get Bottas in control at that point, and Bottas was holding Lewis up before Lewis had to like do like bare quali laps, and then eventually pass Max. That's by the way. Then we come to Monaco, and they couldn't get Bottas's tires off. You know, they couldn't get his tires off. It was in a comfy P2, if I remember.
Yeah, P2.
Yeah, bro. You just reminded me now, because they shagged Bottas horribly in that race. Oh my days! They literally could not get his wheel off the thing. Like the wheel not shredded because they couldn't get it off. You know how mad that is.
I've been watching F1 for a bit.
It took 4 or 5 days to take the wheel off.
Apparently, like they had to
take it back.
I've not seen that before. I've seen people
they
like
lost the wheel
I've seen people not get the wheels on the car when they do the pit. Like, you know, when they put the tire on, but they don't screw the wheel properly. I've seen that a couple times, but I've not seen the tire not coming off because the wheel nut was stuck. And in that same race, then they shagged Lewis as well, making him pit before Gasly, and then it comes out like way behind Gasly, and then Vettel. And that's when I knew, you know what, this Mercedes strategy thing that they've been shouting about is looking a bit, it's not looking right. It's not looking proper. And then, you know, we had Carlos Sainz getting his first podium of the season. Max Verstappen winning comfy. I mean, anyone who's P1 in thing, if you're P1 in Monaco, you have to mess it up to not win that race.
I think with Lewis, it was damage limitation. On
basically, yeah, he had a poor quality. Yeah, he had poor quality. I think he was struggling to warm up. The tires were not warming up or something like that. You know, it was one of those races where Valtteri could get it working in quali and Lewis wasn't getting it working. And it was like, you know what, we'll go tomorrow. Just let's not lose so much ground, because they sort of built the buffer already from the two race wins that they had back to back. At that point, it was 3-1. You know, in terms of race wins, Lewis versus Max, it was 3-1. Yep. He had a head start, so it was okay. Damage limitation, we'll go again. Monaco is naturally not our power strength anyway. You know, so and then
I think with that race and that race particularly, it kind of showed where the weaknesses were with Ferrari and with Mercedes in terms of what was going on in the background, not particularly with their drivers, but the competencies with their pit crews and their mechanics and their strategy and so on. So, Anik, I'm going to come to you. Was that Ferrari's first like red flag with what's going on over there when they didn't get Charles Leclerc to start that race? Do you think it was better off just taking that grid penalty?
Yeah, they should just better off gone and taken a grid penalty. I think they've always had this issue. I remember back in 2017, like, I don't know if they struggled like to fix the car or something. Like in 2017, they had the issue with Vettel. They had the same problem. 2017 in Japan, they had an issue trying to fix the car. And the same thing in Malaysia. I genuinely thought on that crash, Leclerc was doing epic shithousery. He knew what he was doing. Because on his dash, he can see if he's up. He obviously would have seen on his dash. He can't see what the other drivers were doing. Fair enough, they were going purple, purple, purple. If he did bin it, and he did bin it on purpose, yeah, well done to him. Obviously, he crashed it a little bit too hard, which ended up damaging the car. But we've always had this from Ferrari, bro. We've always seen that they have a horrible strategy when it comes to races, even throughout the season. Like, they just have a complete head loss. Like, I don't know what's going on there when it comes to strategy. And yeah, look, they got two competent drivers, very good drivers. Obviously, the jury's out as to what you guys think who's the number one driver. I still think it's Charles. But next year,
Junior's
we
number
got to
one,
see.
bro.
We got to see. We got to see what happens next year. We got to see
Junior's number one, bro. Anik,
bro.
I don't want to hear.
Bro, they got a race winner, bro. They got a race winner.
Junior is number one, man. Just forget about it.
But look, regardless, let's see.
You're muted, man.
Mahad, you're talking away on mute, brother.
Okay, hold on, Kunle. Sorry about that. So, when we look at the season on a whole with Ferrari, and you evaluate their drivers, who do you think had the better season in it? Out of Charles,
our hands up. It's Carlos Sainz had a better season. Carlos Sainz had a better season. I'll say that because he's come to a new team. He's performed fantastically well, no doubt about it. Ferrari was 6th last year. Now my boys have moved up to 3rd. They're gonna crack on next year, but in my view, they have to put their stocks into Leclerc. They still see him as the number one driver. They'll put their stocks into him. They'll look to build the car around him. They'll make him the number one driver. As I said, he's a race winner. And if they're going to be competing at the business end of the grid, which they will, by the way, then you need a driver that can get you race wins, and Leclerc's your man. So we'll see next year. This year, yeah, Sainz had the better season. 100%, I agree. He had the better season. But Leclerc next year, the number one driver.
So do you think these were like the early signs that they've got someone like pace? Because we saw Monaco, that is a pole position regardless, and they were quite quick. And Sainz got his P2, and then we saw in Baku they got pole again.
Yeah,
with Charles Leclerc. These are the early signs.
Baku, yeah.
We're moving on to Baku right now. So, Baku, absolute crazy race. I think one of the best races in the year. And in qualifying, we saw Charles Leclerc put it on pole position on a quite difficult track, but didn't fare too well in the race as he quickly got dunked on by Max Verstappen, Perez, and Lewis Hamilton. So that race pace, that Ferrari, I don't know if they just set up for quality pace.
And number 10 as well. Don't forget. Thank you.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, number 10. Not Pierre Gasly. What a race for him in that race as well. Well, welcome, brother Kwame. For listeners, Kwame has now joined us for our season review. I'm going to come to you on this one. What was your thoughts on the opening laps on Baku and Ferrari's race pace and Charles and everybody that happened in that race?
Baku was a interesting race, in my opinion. It was an interesting race. I felt like the start, it wasn't the best start. I mean, like the start, we want to have a lot of overtakes, a lot of position taken in, but that wasn't really the case for Baku at the start, anyways. There's a current bit of battle in the midfield between Alonso Vettel, which we will talk about the OP guys doing their thing in the midfield, but I mean, yeah, Leclerc did his bit for a couple of laps, I think like 3 or 4 until he got overtaken. But Hamilton, and that's when he kind of just dropped off in that race. I know we will probably talk about the tyre situation a bit more, probably with Shaw and Max. But I feel like that's what spiced up the race, in my opinion. I feel like that's what made it what it was.
Yeah, definitely. And I think just to go back on you, we saw Max take the lead with Perez behind and Lewis Hamilton chasing for the majority of that race. And this was what we call the red flag race, the Pirelli race. So first we saw Stroll on a very fast straight, tyre blow up and cause a red flag. Oh, was it a red flag or was it a yellow flag? I think it was a yellow flag.
I think it
was a yellow. And then Max in the lead, comfy. How many? Only a few laps left in the race. Tire blows up on the main straight. Red flag. Infamous kick of the tire. That image. Doing the Max Van Basten on the volley.
Bro, that's a heritage pick, mate.
That's a Formula 1 heritage pick. And red flag the session, so it was all to play for. We saw Sir Lewis Hamilton say, this is a marathon, not a sprint. And we saw brake magic. Mars, what did you think of the... What you calling Sir Lewis Hamilton?
Why are you doing this for?
What do you think of brake magic? What do you think of brake magic? So for listeners that didn't watch the race, Lewis Hamilton on the start clicked the brake magic button on the back of his steering wheel and went straight into the abyss.
He bottled that.
So Marks, what did you think of the brake magic?
He deserves that donkey of the day that day. Oh my gosh, it was horrible. The whole thing was like it was a speech followed by the brake magic. It's like, them ones in the movie, where they're like, nothing's gonna go wrong, and then everything that could go wrong goes wrong. It was exactly like that. It was just so silly. It was just following the speech. Like, this isn't a marathon. This isn't a sprint. At this point, we knew that the Red Bull was very, very quick. Yeah, and we knew it could possibly become a title challenge. And for this guy to come out and say, because he was getting dunked on by the Red Bulls as well. I remember Perez and Verstappen were both dunking on him. And then he was like, this is not a marathon, this is a sprint. I'm like, huh? People like, just go out and win the race. Let's just go get some points. It's an easy 25 points. Simple as. I think it was like, 3 laps left of the race?
5. No, is it 3? I think it was 3.
It wasn't that many.
It wasn't that many. It wasn't many.
It wasn't many.
Red flag as well.
Just go out there. You got new tires. You got new tires on the red flag. Just go out there and do your thing. This guy his brakes were smoking for some reason. I don't know why.
Hey, can we just look at this comment? This comment.
R.I.P. Cargo. R.I.P. Cargo on that clip.
R.I.P. Cargo, man.
For those that are listening on the podcast, it's referencing Webber's scream when Hamilton put the brake magic on, which is probably another iconic commentary from Channel.
Webber he screamed like a bad bee, though.
But like you said, he had a mare.
Whoa.
He had a mare. Absolute mare. And
that's a bit mad.
And then Checo
I'm just saying, what couldn't it say was a bit mad, but for what?
But it's what someone said in the comments, bro. Someone said that in the comments, not me.
Colin was repeating comments.
I was repeating comments, bro.
Once.
Okay.
Mark's gone.
No, I was just saying, but listen, Checo Checo did what he had to do, and he did what Lewis should have done. It just went on and won the race, and that was it, really, innit? Sebastian Vettel somehow managed to find himself up on the podium with, I think it was it Gasly?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Gasly.
Gasly.
And don't even say
Gasly.
somehow Seb. Seb had a good race. Seb had a good race. I can't lie. Seb had a good race.
Yeah, he had a very
Seb-
good race.
Seb-
Aston Martin did a good
On
race.
pace.
They were looking good.
Yeah, Stroll had this tire situation with the tires as well. Gasly as well taking the clear. Like, it was a good day for the midfields that day.
Do you remember Bottas at the restart? Sorry to interrupt you there, comment. Bottas at the restart.
Bottas had the worst race in the history of races. I think that's the worst performance of the season.
He had a lot of bad performances this year.
No, that was the one that stood out. He was getting dunked on in midfield.
Yeah,
Was that the one that he got jumped on by Alonso, innit? Because I was like, Alonso took over like 5 man on the restart.
It might have been that one.
But
Alonso was.
But he was so basically Bottas started 10th. He was still 10th, and when the race restarted, somehow he was in 14th.
They should have terminated this guy. They should have done an Albon. They should have just swapped him straight away after that.
That was a
Mum's
mid-season
life, he
change.
was
That's the
stuck.
It wasn't me. Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, but my favorite thing from that race was flipping Latifi and his race engineer. I think the race was red flag though. Like there was a safety car or something like that, and his engineer was like, "Come in," and the pit stop was closed.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember.
Pit stop was closed. I was watching. It's like, why is he telling him to come in? What's going on? And my man went in and got but yeah,
no, it wouldn't come in. It wasn't come in. Everyone had to come in because of the red flag, and they told Latifi to stay out.
Yeah, they told him to stay out. I was like, what the fuck are these guys doing here? But yeah, that was
definitely.
We don't talk about Latifi, man. I don't want to hear Latifi's name.
No,
please.
Latifi, forget about it. What I'll say is you made a good point, Miles. That was an easy 25 points for Lewis. And we look back on it now retrospectively. That's big boy points dropped, because that's a whole race win. If we look at how it goes later on down the line, when we speak about the season, it could be a major turning point. I wanted to get Conley's thoughts on Sergio Perez. Perez won that race. It looked all bright from that point.
Hey, luckily though, because he put up his car after the race. He didn't take his car to the grid
because his tire was about to blow.
I don't know if it was his tires, if it was his engine or something. There was something wrong with that car, and if they had done 2 more laps of that race, it probably would not have finished. From what they were saying at the time.
What's your thoughts on Conley? What's your thoughts on his first season at Red Bull?
I don't see. Up until before the start of this year, I was riding for Sergio Perez. I rooted for him. Even though he had that one bad season at McLaren, I always thought he was a very good driver. He's very good. He has recovery. He was a very good recovery driver. And I used to think it was because of the car that he had that had to make him drive recovery drives. But then when he got into a car that was good enough to be at least P4 to start the race with, my man was nowhere to be found. But I think Baku was one of those weekends where everything lined up for him. Because of the recovery drive that he could drive, when Mercedes decided to pit Lewis first, instead of waiting for the undercut or something like that, when they decided to do the overcut, thinking, they'll be able to keep track position, he was able to go fast still on his tires, and both him and Max were able to jump Lewis at the pit stop. And even after Max had this,
he could have took Max cleanly as well. He could have won that race cleanly.
He could have won that race cleanly, but I think they told him to stay back or something like that.
Red Bull held his pit stop in it. Like the game of force, they sat to 4 seconds on his head, and if he came out like 3/10 sooner, he'd have been in there.
So that's the thing. He had a bad pit stop, and he was still ahead of Lewis. So he was dialed in that weekend, and before that weekend, he was okay. No, actually, I don't think he was okay. I don't think he was on the podium before that weekend for Red Bull, if I recollect. Like he wasn't having the best start, and it was starting to look a bit shaky. Like what would Albon might have been doing better. This that da. But yeah, I wasn't part of those people saying Albon would have been doing better, because I feel like Albon was a scrub for Red Bull. But that's by the way. Be like Albon, by the way. Maybe not. But yeah, back to Perez. He so he had a good race, and the restart again. there is a tax on that win because if Lewis doesn't fuck up the restart, Lewis wins that race clearly. Because he was on his even before the restart, like Lewis was on his back. Because it was Stroll's accident that I think it was Stroll that brought out the red flag, not Max.
No. I don't think Stroll brought out a red flag. I think
No,
it was,
Stroll was first. Stroll was first.
Stroll was
Max
first. The
next,
Max was the red flag. It was on the
Stroll's tyre
straight.
went first.
But then there was something happened where they had to like restart again because I know Lewis was trying to catch Perez at some point, but he
Could
wasn't
have
able
been
to catch it.
a virtual safety car or safety car. I can't remember if there was.
Yeah,
one.
I'm not sure, but I know something happened where like Lewis was behind Perez for a while. He was struggling to catch Perez. I mean, it was catching him, but it was struggling to get by or struggling to get too close. So if he had gotten that restart right, he probably, because he already got the restart, he already jumped him, but he just break by magic or break wire issue. But he had a very good race that week. He got his 25 points. Deservedly got his second win in F1, and it's been sort of shit house from then on. But king of recovery still.
Yeah, definitely. I think he had a really up and down season for Red Bull, but towards the end he started pulling up trees.
He did what he had to do.
He's paid mercenary, innit?
He did what
he
he had
knew
to
what
do.
the deal was when he signed that
Exactly.
contract. He says, "Look, you're going to help Max Verstappen win."
It was clear Red Bull didn't care about constructors from, especially Baku. You just knew they did not care about the constructors title. It was literally about getting Max that title, and Perez did what he had to do.
I mean, they had a very good chance of getting.
Yeah, let's be honest. Like if you look ahead to the next few races, like France, Styria, Austria, like constructors was a real good opportunity for them. Like I thought they could get both.
I felt like they had it in the bag. I felt like they had constructors in the bag if Perez was a bit better in some races, but we'll get there.
Yeah. Go for it, man.
Yeah, definitely. I was gonna just say we're gonna talk about that triple header. I don't know which one wants to talk about it because I know a lot of you guys.
Worst 3 weeks of my life.
Bro, I don't want to speak about.
Let's start with France. Let's start with France. Let's start with France. Let's start with France and Mercedes' Fugazi strategy team and their tires and their tire calls.
Listen, look, we're gonna have to look at Merc's strategy on a whole, and we're gonna talk about that a little bit later. We're not gonna talk about it now because there's a lot of stuff that built up. We have to retrospectively look at all of that. You know what I mean? It's not just France. There's so much different instances where they effed up. But this is we're gonna call this the praise Max Verstappen corner. Because
so you might have talked then.
I didn't watch the two Austrias live. I had to retrospectively watch it a couple of weeks later, but I saw my man get 3 poles and 3 wins. Certain guys on Pitstop Fracas said he doesn't have the ability to do these type of things, and he managed to do it.
Yeah, bro.
Listen, pure and utter dominance. And a certain Anik here said he did not have the ability. He was hyping up Charles Leclerc. Does he have back-to-back poles though? He's got back-to-back poles, brother. And he was putting in work. He was doing burnouts on the line. That's how far ahead he was.
Bro, by the way, that's proper disrespectful. You don't do that on an F1 track.
No, what do you mean disrespectful?
That's very disrespectful. You don't do that.
Listen, I've seen Vettel do that. I've seen Hamilton do that. I've seen people do that.
He literally stopped his car. Anyone could have gone into the back and caused a serious crash there. I don't like that.
Did anyone come?
Nam here? Why are you doing up safety marshal? Is Nam here or something? Man's doing up safety marshal.
Panic, man. Let it go.
No. Come on, guys. In all seriousness, it was dominant from him. He perfectly executed it in France, and to win both the Styrian and the Austrian Grand Prix. Yeah, credit to him. Like he had the car underneath him. And he absolutely blitzed, especially those 2 Austria races. Like he led from the start, and he saw it home. Credit to him.
One was 30
I have to give him his
seconds.
flowers for that. Yeah,
one was like 30 seconds. That was
that's
80.
outrageous. That's outrageous.
Don't remind me,
yeah.
man.
But I think, but the fact that the margin was so big suggests to me that a lot came down to the car as well. That car was like dominant there. Like, let's be real. Like 30 seconds on Lewis Hamilton. Come on, car's dominant.
Kwame, when we look back on it, do you think stuff like Austria, traditionally that's a Mercedes dominant track, to lose by that much and in that fashion? Do you think that was like a sign of what things to come with Red Bull and that Merc are actually struggling?
I always thought Austria was more of a Red Bull track.
No, I'm sure Rosberg won there, Hamilton won there.
It's the other way around. France was meant to be the Merc track.
Yeah, France. Yeah.
Oh yeah, France. Yeah. No,
but last year, 2020, Mercedes won both races there.
Yeah, they always win it.
Yeah, but that
Yeah.
W11 is a different car. Like that's a
Yeah, but-
completely
so it's
different
kind of
car.
like, yeah, so it's kind of like, so it is a
Bottas.
Mercedes track.
No, because 2018
it's
Max
not.
won, 2019 Max won, 2020 Bottas won, 2021 Max won. So
Okay. Oh yeah, so you got right. France. Once you saw them winning in France, was you worried and thinking, this could be a title challenge now? Because it doesn't look like everything's going to go in Mercedes' ways in terms of having the car underneath them.
yeah, no, I mean, how to explain it? When I saw them announce the steering Grand Prix, I was worried at the time because I knew back-to-back Austria, same track, these guys going to stab pad a double win. France as well, I was a bit worried as well. Yeah, I was worried because obviously 3 back-to-back wins. This point as well, Max is going on a clean streak. It was looking like it was Red Bulls at this point in the season anyway. So yeah, I was a bit skeptical about how Max going to come back, but at the same time, I knew that at the end of the season as well, as you saw in the race of Lewis's run after Brazil, that the Abu Dhabis, the Saudi Arabia to Qatar, I think that was going to be Mercs anyway. So I thought we were going to balance each other out. So yeah, I was a bit of both. I was nervous, but I had faith as well that Mercs will come back later on in the year.
Yeah, definitely. I think for everybody that's not a Red Bull fan, there were the dark 3 weeks. We called it the pressure weeks, and we saw Max actually build a huge lead in the championship from that point, and it did not look rosy at that time. Austria did provide some good racing as well, between Leclerc and Perez, Norris and Hamilton, and so on. But if we talk about Max in those performances, that kind of just showed a sign of things to come. And that
Man, talk about your boys, man. Talk about
who's my boys?
Norris, McLaren boys.
No.
Boys.
We'll speak about that later. We'll speak about that later.
Yeah,
Norris did well, man. They did well.
Norris
Norris.
did good in Austria.
Chris, get podiums, bro.
Man, you might listen, bro.
I look at everything badly, no. Yeah?
No, but
Everything
you
that
might.
happened in the season, I don't care.
No, but you might as well. You might as well get your Norris prop in right now because
There's
when we
no
start getting
doubts.
into no, but
Derek,
when we
there's
start
no
getting
doubts.
into Sochi, it's gonna get mad for you. So you might as well.
Let me take the heat. No,
You
let
know
me
what
take
I
the
mean?
heat. Let me take the heat. Norris is cooking. Whole first half of the season, Norris is cooking. Yeah? One man up. No teammate.
Yeah,
That teammate was nowhere to be seen.
Yeah, that was nasty. That was nasty.
He was.
don't know.
I swear, it got to a point where he had 70% of the points.
Danny Rick was getting
It was-
16. Danny Rick's got 16 mils for nothing, bro.
We saw Danny Rick get lapped in Monaco.
Yeah,
Norris give him the thumbs up. These are low points, man.
In the golf livery.
We're in the bloody mud. We're in the mud. So
Did he not get lapped in Austria as well?
I got
Probably.
I think
Probably.
he
I've been saying the whole season.
I
Listen,
remember-
that Australian guy needs to head to NASCAR already, bro. He's not a Formula One driver. I don't know what people are talking about. That guy is just a random whoever they got. Ain't that right, Mahad?
Listen, you got me on the ropes.
Hey, listen, bro, I'm asking.
You know what?
I'm
Yeah,
asking-
Tarek's been waiting for this for time.
Fam, I'm just asking the McLaren master right here. Like I'm just saying, yeah.
Tarek, you're nasty, bro.
If number 10 is on his heels and he's in an Alpha Tauri with that dead team, I'm just asking questions, bro. That's it.
No. I've already started the campaign. Either Hamilton or Gasly, they need to be coming to McLaren to replace.
I don't mind guys. I don't mind guys.
Calm, no problem. Yeah,
I've had enough. I don't mind
Gasly.
I want to highlight Norris's lap. I think it was at Austria.
He nearly got pole. Nearly got pole.
And it was like, like 300ths off Max?
Yeah.
That was an
very
amazing
Pole
lap.
in the last corner.
It was very close.
He was quicker than Max for most of it, and then sector 3, that's when he missed it.
Max bottled it last corner as well. Jeddah.
Wrong race. Wrong
Oh,
race.
wrong race.
Come,
What
I'm
race
just
is that
saying.
later?
I'm just saying.
And
I'm
calm
just saying.
down, man.
We'll come
And
on to that.
relax.
We'll
Calm
come
down.
on to that.
Wait, we're
Relax.
talking about
Can't we say-
France, Austria, yeah? Max put the whole grid in a pack for 3 races in a row.
He smoked everyone.
And
Bro,
so
that was,
we have
come on,
to
that
give him
burnout was
pop.
disrespectful though. Yeah, I didn't like that.
Stop.
I didn't like. I don't
Get
want
out
to
of
see
here,
that on
man.
the tarmac. I don't
Bring
wanna see
back
that on the
shit
tarmac.
housery. Bring back shit housery in Formula One.
I can't lie. If
Do
I
you know
was
what
Max,
you know what
I would
Max
go
should
for
have
the
done?
pit
You know what
lane.
Max should have done?
You know what?
Max should have gone pit lane. He should have gone pit lane. Took a pit. Then did a burnout in the pit lane and won the race. He should have done that.
Hey, I swear it was Austria when Bottas was doing Spinaroni in the pits as well.
Oh yeah, Bottas.
It was.
Oh yeah, he nearly killed someone, innit? He's a madman.
Bruh.
Yeah,
Absolute howler, bro.
Hey, that was mad.
Absolute howler.
But that's, I think it's
Alright.
like you qualify practice, isn't it? But still,
Yeah, it was at FP2 or something.
yeah.
Yeah, Bottas had a lot. He had a lot wrong this year, man.
All right, I'll stop putting you guys through the torch show. We'll move on to the next race, which was Silverstone and Hungary. So I forgot to put Hungary on that slider. We're going to speak about Hungary as well. Corn on the cops. This was the first sprint weekend in Formula One. We saw a lot going on that weekend. We saw Merc dominate in qualifying. Then we saw sprint qualifying. Max quickly getting that pole position in Silverstone, and then we saw the first opening lap in Silverstone. I'm gonna give Tarek the opportunity because Tarek, I know you wasn't on the pod for Silverstone. What did you think of that incident in Silverstone and the opening lap?
You know what? I feel like we gotta keep this brief because like everything that's been said about this incident has been said like for weeks upon weeks upon weeks upon months. So I mean, I've spoken about this on Spaces before. If you love joining me in Spaces, have heard me speak about it. I've spoken about it in Spaces before. I believe basically the case is that at the time, I thought the case was that Max should have. I mean, the argument is there that Max has no right. Like he does not need to concede that position or give Lewis space at that time, and Lewis approached in a wrong position. What I feel like in that position is that Max, for the basis of first of all the position that he's in the championship standings, first of all, in the race, second of all, it would have been better for him to just give Lewis space in that corner and race the entire race. At least you have a car in that race. Even if Lewis takes that corner, especially in the fact that it is lap one and it is incredibly quick and everybody is going incredibly quickly, I feel like at that point, Max should have just let the race go. I mean, let that corner go, even if Lewis was supposed to get him, because he could have still defended that without cutting in the corner that tightly. And he could have, Max could have raced that entire race. There was still pit stops to go. There was still strategies to go. There was still, the rest of all of that race to go. And he could have feasibly won that race because his car was, the Red Bull was quicker. Sergio Perez was performing better than Bottas in that case. So that could have been what, and then we would have been properly sweating at that point. If the two Austria races weren't bad enough, we would have been properly sweating if Max would have got a podium at that point, because he would have had himself a significant points advantage at the middle of the season. So that's what I feel like. I feel like at that point, the main thing I was saying was that he did not drive like a guy who was confident in his position at the top of the driver standings. He drove really, really aggressively, and I feel like he should have done that. I mean, at this point right now, we talk about this and it's kind of like a bit irrelevant because, technically he's won anyway in quote marks behind the camera because you can't see. But yeah, that's what I feel like in that position. And then obviously there was just such a huge commotion about this whole thing, from everybody. And it was just like, I mean, like I said, I don't want to speak on it that much. I just feel like it could have just been a situation where they could have where Max could have kind of just like conceded for, lost the battle but won the war. That's what I feel like.
Yeah, I think that type of stuff comes with age and more experience. I think a more experienced driver just knows, okay, let me just cool off. I might not even win the race, but I'll keep even if he gets P2. This might have been wrapped up, this whole title, by Turkey. Because that's a major point swing.
Exactly my point. And a lot of people disagree, and they just look at the exact incident and go, no, Lewis shouldn't have positioned his car there. No. And my whole point is that regardless of what happened in the incident, you have to look at the bigger picture and think, okay, that's fine. If Lewis is in that bad position, at least I get to keep my car and I don't crash, and I can still race the rest of this race. That's how I feel like. If you disagree, then disagree. I know I've had a lot of disagreement, but that's how I feel like. I feel like you should just lost the battle and then won the war in the end.
Personally, I think at the time and even now, I think it was a racing incident. Both were at fault. Lewis missed the apex by a million miles, even though you're not like supposed to miss the apex. You're not supposed to hit the apex, but he just basically didn't want to yield. And he ain't got time. He can relax. He can. In that situation, if I'm Lewis, brother, I'm behind in points by a bear. I got nothing to lose. Fuck it. So if I don't need to hit the apex. Let me just try and get this overtake done.
Exactly.
I think it's you got to remember, like Lewis got the on the Friday. Lewis got the pole for the sprint race. And then in the sprint race, Max dunked him and put 8 seconds on his head top.
Yeah,
and you couldn't do that again. Like he couldn't let that happen 2 days in a row. So he had to fight to get in front of Max at that point. Otherwise, he would have lost the race completely. So Lewis did have. There's a bit of desperation in that move where when he done it. As you said, there's a racing incident. I think you could put a little bit more of the blame on Lewis, but it is where it is. And thankfully, Max came out of it alive, but then what followed it after was just like horrific.
Yeah,
like,
I think
it was just horrible. It was a horrible
online
2 weeks.
Yeah, online in the media, if it was nasty stuff going on. Man.
Like for a whole 2 weeks, it was just
nasty,
disgusting, man. But
I don't even want to see that kind of stuff again. In terms of Max, I think on that corner. Listen, you can't assume that you cleared your man. That's all I'm saying. He started to turn in like he cleared him. You didn't check if you cleared him.
Max don't check his mirrors, man. Max don't.
Yeah, and no, and Lewis was very, close in that corner as well. It's not like Max wouldn't have known he was there. Max would have definitely known he was there. But
if he didn't turn in, I think Max dunks him. I think Max comes out.
First. So he had to.
So I feel like. Sorry.
No, but even if he takes that, if he takes the long way around the corner, I think if he's long way around the corner, I think Lewis does eventually take that position. But then the whole discussion that I'm having right now is that that's fine. Let Lewis take the position. You can get him back because your car is quicker and it's faster. Just race that way. Like, think about the bigger picture in the whole situation. And it's a lap one incident. Like, what do you expect? The lap one is going to be really, really difficult, especially at that corner. Like, don't make it more difficult on yourself.
So my thing was, I feel like the history so far to that point, every time they had gotten into like a wheel to wheel or something close, Lewis had always backed out. And even the day before in the sprint, there was sort of like a mini wheel to wheel at the start of the sprint, and Lewis had to back out. So I feel like going into that race mentally, like Lewis is like, you know what, you're not gonna make me uncomfortable in my own ends.
Exactly.
He's not Charles Leclerc.
It's his own ends. Listen, it's Hamilton's own ends. Yeah,
I'm not Charles in Monaco.
Bro, forget about Charles. Max has been dive bombing the whole season up until that point, and in his own end, you really reckon Hamilton's going to stand for that?
Yeah.
Get off to the wall, man. Show him what the wall looks like. That's what Max gets for trying to.
We don't encourage.
Let's get focused. Let's get some focus in the rule.
Leclerc's got any part.
Okay, Anik. You a minute ago was crying about burnout.
Yeah,
And he was crying about burnouts a minute ago.
he's
Now you're saying,
Max
top man
is
and all, fuck it.
Yeah,
Make
but
up your
bro, look what he's been doing the whole season. Look what he was doing the whole season against Lewis.
Hey,
He
he
wasn't
was-
back out once. He didn't.
Anik
back
was
out
right
once.
there talking.
And
Anik was right there talking to the Sky lot, telling them, "Oh, you know what you need to do? You need to make this one of the adverts, bro, so that they can watch the show." Anik was right there in the meeting board.
Anik, take deep breaths here. Anik, take deep breaths. Take deep breaths. Mute your mic and count 1 to 10 and breathe. You know.
Listen. He showed him the wall. That's what it is, bro. And he didn't. And he still hasn't learned from it because he still drove dangerously the rest of the year. Max won't change. He's privileged.
No, but I
thinks he
said
can
this
make every corner.
I said this in a previous race. Max don't look at the season on the whole. The guy just looks at it race by race. The
But
guy does not look at the past or present or future. He's just like, oh, can I win this race? That's all he cares about. He doesn't care about points or what the point situation is or anything like that. He's just very single-minded in that approach, and I don't know if that's gonna bode well for the future. But Anik, do you think that was the turning point?
Sorry. Before Anik goes, but 2 things in that weekend that stood out for me was Lewis, the first lap from Lewis, the qualifying lap for the sprint. That was a beautiful lap. That got him P1 for the sprint. Like, people tend to forget like qualifying that weekend because of the sprint and everything that happened. Actually, 3 things. Secondly was Sergio Perez having a full bozo moment in the sprint, going from from probably 3rd or 4th to like 20th, and left Max to do it on his ones again. And finally, the Lewis recovery drive after the penalty, he had 35 seconds to make up on Charles or something like that, and probably like 4 places because it came out P6, no? And bit by bit it clipped all of them off. Some of those overtakes in the same corpse corner that Christian Horner was crying about, like, you don't overtake in corpse corner, you don't do that in corpse corner, blah blah blah. But those stood out, and it's easy to get carried away for that accident alone. But I felt like that weekend was great racing in general, and outside of those three disaster class weekends that we had, they have been great. They've been great racing. I mean, at Monaco, obviously, because nothing ever happens in Monaco, and they have been great racing up until that point. And Silverstone also had like great racing, and there was some decent overtaking across the field, some pit stop mistakes, etc., that made people have to overtake. So yeah.
I've just seen the comment saying Lewis celebrating in Silverstone was wrong. Listen, if the same thing happened in Zandvoort, Max is running around like he's pack. You insane? They're still doing all the fireworks. They're still doing all that kind of stuff. I don't know what you're talking about there. So we saw
not even a proper circuit anyway, but yeah,
it's an elite track for quali. But apart from that, Silverstone, they put 10 seconds on Lewis's head top, still won, and he celebrated as he should. And we saw Hungary as well, where Hungary was a very interesting race. I think these are the 2 turning points in the season. If Hungary don't go the way they go, I think this could have been a procession of a season for Red Bull. But Hungary, we saw Bottas and Stroll committing acts of terrorism. You see, when you see Al Qaeda and ISIS link up, that's what them 2 were doing on the opening lap in Hungary. Kwame, I'm gonna come to you.
Can we talk about it first, though? Because Bottas' one wasn't that bad. It was
Stroll's
one.
You see Stroll.
You
see Stroll.
Literally just drove into man.
It came from nowhere. Absolutely fucking nowhere.
He tried to kill Leclerc.
Yeah.
He tried to kill Leclerc.
So I might need to send him a bottle or something. But like, anyway. Sorry, Anik, bro. Sorry, Anik. You might have to keep that off the. You might have to keep that clip off the Twitter.
We live, baby. We're live, baby. Man. We live, baby.
We're live, brother. It's fine. It's probably clipped up already.
Kwame, I'm gonna come to you. What did you think of that? What Bottas and Stroll did in that opening lap?
Well, like man said, tell us a minute, man. That was basically 134.10 linking up, man, and doing all types of madness and Wilson. Valtteri, he missed. He just didn't brake. He just drove straight into the Leclerc, and then next minute, pinball effect in it. So hit Madman, half the grid gone. And then Stroll Sure, he tried to get away from the accident, from the whole Bottas thing, but then he missed the corner, and then he just crashed as well, man. Like, whole thing was just a mess, man. I don't know what they were trying to do. Like, it's Hungary as well. It's not even like, you know, like it's Monaco. Monaco first lap, we know first corner, people gonna crash. The tight street circuit. This is Hungary. Yes, there are a lot of twisted corners in Hungary, but I don't know. Like Nathan saying, man, them guys.
I mean, that
Mardo, Grosjean, just doing whatever. Spa 2011, 2012, maybe like that, man. Because boy, I don't know what them guys are doing. But luckily for Bottas, it helped out his teammates. That's the one thing you take out from this year. And also similar to Stroll as well. He nearly bust Vettel with that podium, which we'll talk about later. So yeah, I guess they played their part in the team. But other than that, yeah, it was not good at all. All jokes aside, it was not good.
I was just gonna say.
Go on, sorry.
I was just gonna say. I mean that playing like devil's advocate a little bit. That first corner, I mean, it was wet, and that first corner does go a little bit downhill as well. So I think it was kind of difficult for a lot of drivers as well, especially about the case that it was just a little pile up at the beginning. So, well, a lot of people were going mad at that. We're having laughs about Stroll and whatever. I think we kind of just gotta, give them a little, give them a little chance and stuff, and just say that it was a bit of a difficult situation. But what I wanted to also point out is that wasn't even the worst part of the whole weekend, because if we talk about the guy who came P3 eventually, Mr. Hamilton, and the situation that was in the race, that was probably the funniest part of the whole situation. I think Marks is probably the one to talk about that, because he was getting onto Hamilton a little bit as well in regards to Baku. But I feel like this was probably the funniest Mercedes Hamilton related situation of the whole thing.
You know what? Yeah, I said it before. I said Lewis has a bozo gene, yeah, and at certain times it just rings off in his head. He does.
Sorry, can we?
He does. I'm
sorry.
First of all,
I'm sorry.
Ain't got bozo
Let me land. Every other, listen. No engineer talks to the driver on that first lap, on the formation lap. I don't think you're allowed to, innit? But Lewis has gone round that lap, and it's not occurred in his head. This track is very dry. Let me go in. I understand you're first, and you don't know what everybody else is doing. But at the end of the day, you're in a far superior car. Your only competitor, his engine is cracked, and he's all the way back in where the last place behind the Haas. You will be fine. You will be fine. Even if you go into pit and you're not able to come out, you come out in P12 or something, and you start the race P12. So be it. He should have come in and pit, but he decided to stay out and try to do hero ball, and it just did not work at all. It was hard to watch.
Was it his decision though?
It is his decision.
No.
Because listen.
Marks, I just want to say one thing. Yeah, We've got a proper diehard Max fan in the comments right now, and he's cooking you right now. So that's all I'm gonna say about the whole situation. If you want to reconsider,
bro, I think
let me correct you. Let me correct you on that. Like, throughout that formation,
GR63 said, "Oh, the tires, the track feels dry enough. We're coming in for hards." GR63 was what? Wasn't he like P? He was quite high up. Wasn't he like P2 or something?
No,
or something silly.
He was in the top 10. But
let me correct you. Let me correct you on something.
You can't. Matt, Lewis knows he should have come in. At the end of the day.
Hold on, Matt. Let me correct you on something. Calm down. Drink some water. You got water by your side, yeah? Drink some water. Relax.
Yeah, your head is hot.
Water.
Sure.
Your head's a bit hot right now. So yeah, basically, I read the race review of that race on BBC, and Lewis was telling them that the track was dry. He said the track was dry. But the problem that Mercedes had was that their position at the grid would have meant that they would have waited for, if everyone had pitted, if they had pitted exactly, if they had done what everyone did, Their position.
Nonsense.
Hold on. Hold
No,
on,
I know what you're going to say because that's
Matt.
the same silly excuse James Allison was
No,
said in the dumb
Matt,
YouTube video
Matt.
about our position where we come out, we're gonna have to wait. No, when you come out, even if you do your 3-second pit stop, you come out, not all the cars are gonna be there. So you're able to
Matt,
come out at
I
some
get
point,
it,
you'll have a break.
Matt,
And there'll be other cars going in for their pit stop. There'll be
Matt,
other
hold
cars
on.
going for their pit stop.
At that point of the race,
As I
Matt.
said, he would have come out in P12. He would have come out.
Marks,
in
let the man
P12.
finish his point, though.
Go on.
Let finish his point.
Thank you very much. Matt.
Quelle brief.
It's a bit. I get it. Your head's still hot. I understand.
Marks, you're
And
gonna get
you're
rushed by everybody because nobody agrees with you. You're on your
and
ones.
you're triggered again. Matt's just triggered. And keep him on mute. Don't unmute him. Keep him on mute. Keep him on mute.
Keep him on mute. Hold him on mute.
Keep him
man.
on mute. Hold him on mute. So basically, even if so, I agree with you. Like they should have still pitted because at least maybe they're not that far behind when they come out. I agree with you on that. But then the rationale at that point is you're in front, and you don't want. Again, I don't know. Mercedes's position all year was when we have track position, we keep track position, and that was the theme. I think that was the theme of the season. If you noticed the whole season as it went by, it's like we have track position, we keep track position, and that was the one that in that race it backfired badly. And I wouldn't really say again, context is key, right? And hindsight is a bitch too. If Lewis had pitted, and let's say he had come out, because again, this was a 14-car race. It wasn't how many people were still in the race at that point? I think 14 cars, because I remember Gio finished 14 or 14 behind the Haas, by the way. Yeah. So if behind the Haas, I'm not sure why you man are surprised. It was behind the Haas. Lewis was talking to the engineers. Everybody, I think at that point, everybody was talking because like the track was drying up, and it was do we pit? Do we not pit? So if they had pitted, if they had come out in maybe 8th or 9th,
it would have been P6, by the way.
It would have been P6, right? But then also
there was a gap.
About this.
There was a gap to bring him out.
Also think about it. If everybody had pitted, if everybody was pitting, Mercedes get into the pit first, fine. But then you have to realize this. They have to wait for everyone coming into their pits. Because if they release the car, it's unsafe release. So they wait for every car they have to wait for 13 other cars
Still got a gap.
to go by. And again, by the time 13 cars go by the time they release Lewis, think about it, like, at least 7 cars will be in front of him.
You still have that gap.
At least.
You still have that gap, except this time the guy went around and he came back out P16.
Yeah,
who has final say? Who has final say to come into the pits?
The team has the final
Lewis.
say. No, the
Lewis.
team.
Literally, Lewis can say, "I'm coming in."
Lewis would not come in if
they told everybody else pitting.
I'm gonna be honest.
I'm gonna ask you like one thing. When was the last time Mercedes made a good strategy call? What Lewis can't trust it. He does not trust the Mercedes strategy.
Yeah, so
he cannot trust the Mercedes strategy call. So
he drives
if you're
they give
telling
him,
your
though.
engineer the track is dry, George Russell did the exact same thing. He said, "Listen, the track is dry. I'm coming in." Everybody else, the track is dry. I'm coming in. Lewis could have said the exact same thing. The track is dry. I'm coming in. Get the tires ready. If he comes in, they have to get the tires ready. They're not going to leave him out and tell him to go back to the start, are they? He will have to get his tires straight. If he says, "I'm coming in, the track is dry. Put me on the hards now," he's starting on the hards. That's it. End of story. There's not much what else he could do. It comes down to him and him not making the right decision at that time, where every other driver on the grid was making the right decision.
Marks,
you just said he could come out in P6. If he comes out in P6, he wins the race.
Everyone is telling you it's on the team. This was not on Lewis.
Brother Marks.
It's on both of them, but it's more on Lewis.
No, it's more on the team.
Brother, with all respect, you're talking shit.
No,
and
you don't like to protect him too much.
No.
Because it's the same.
This is not even protecting.
I'll force meet you.
This is not even protecting, man. Matt, remember when you said this at the point of the season? You got cooked differently. Remember that. And now you're gonna
get right. Look, he lost the championship.
Lewis is not good at managing his tires.
Yeah.
Remember that tweet? Get out of here, man.
I did not say that. I said he's been doing uncharacteristic things, and I said I don't feel like his time management was up to his normal level that I've seen from him. There's a difference. Not
Bro,
saying
we'll
it's
put you on
bad.
24-hour banger. We'll put you on 24-hour banger if you carry on.
You put me on whatever you want, bro. You can put me on what you want. I'm telling you, you not just said he could come out in P6, yeah. If he had pitted, look, if he comes out in P6,
and I'll
he
put
wins
down.
the race.
And I'll put down. Okay,
Exactly.
let's move on. Let's move on. Let's move on. Anik, let's talk about Mercedes' strategy right now, because throughout the season they had some issues. They had major issues. Did you think Mercedes' strategy were good coming into the season, and did you expect how things would unfold throughout the season and how they would hamper Lewis Hamilton?
So I'm gonna be real with you. There's a reason why I left Mercedes and I joined Ferrari this year. It's down to the strategy. It's down to the team. It's down to everything that's going on behind the scenes. Lewis Hamilton is out there by himself when it comes to Mercedes. The team with their strategy calls this year have been atrocious. I'll be honest with you, atrocious. We saw it straight away. Barcelona, Kunle touched on it. Max Verstappen had a slow pit stop. You immediately cover that off and you pit him. But no, they decide to try and play hero ball again. Bottas wasn't playing game, whatever. Fair enough, he came through and won. Saw the same thing in what race was it? Fuck, it slipped my mind. But when else did they do it? Stupid.
It was Monaco too.
Yeah, Monaco, when he came out and they cut to the Stroll incident and that became a meme or whatever. But he came out behind Vettel and Gasly. Even then, it was stupid because you know that I think was it the overcut was more useful in Monaco. They didn't decide to do it then. France, okay, you know, Bottas was screaming down the radio for them to pit again. But no, they decided
he was begging for tires in that race.
Yeah.
He was literally begging.
And you just see that. The one time that they made a good enough strategy call was Russia, and we'll come on to that, I'm sure. Even the last race, I don't think there's anything there with Mercedes. Like Mercedes and Lewis Hamilton done everything they could in their last race. That was just taken out of their hands by Michael Masi. But all in all, I just feel as though they weren't moving like a championship winning team. Fair enough, they won the constructors, but I just felt as though they were just reacting to whatever Red Bull done in race. They weren't looking for the optimum strategy. They weren't looking to, I don't know, really force the issue. It was more of like a defensive tactic when it came to racing. And when they were racing, that defensive tactic, it just didn't even work out for them. So just really, really not covered themselves in glory. And I don't feel as though I don't feel as though they helped Hamilton out enough. Hamilton was the one, you know, engineering, mastering all of these strategies that they put him on. He was doing the best that he could do. Hungary was his fault. Hungary was their fault. The guy, did you see him on the podium in Hungary? He was exhausted. I was really worried for him, man. He drove the race of his life. He had to overtake Alonso. He came P3, all down to stupid decision making. I just had enough of them.
You
That's
wouldn't
why
have
I'm
had to done that if you
next
pitted
year.
in the first place.
But let's not deep dive too much into that. But not really covered himself in glory this year, bro. That's why I'm switching to Ferrari. Well, that's why I switched to Ferrari.
Nah, you know what? That's actually mad funny that you switched to Ferrari because
old teams, Ferrari.
Because of our old team's bad strategy calls. You know how funny that is?
Yeah, no, bro, they're not, bro. Then they didn't help out Hamilton. Hamilton's number one.
But you switched to Ferrari then.
You switched to Ferrari, bro.
Next year they're gonna clear it. Next year they're gonna clear everything. That's why.
This
you can still jump on the train if you want.
This is sounding like Forex right now. You're gonna try selling me on some you're gonna try pulling out a presentation and that.
Tarek, you know what he did? Tarek, you know what he did? He was playing on the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and then he said, "Oh no, fuck this."
Bro.
I'm playing for Steve Bruce.
Next year, bro. Go watch.
Let's go for a worse tactician. Let's do it.
Yeah.
But
anyway,
Anik, I've got a question. Do you actually think Ferrari have better strategy than Mercedes?
No, they don't. But they're gonna have a championship winning car. You gotta be shameless, bro.
Killing me, bro. Anyway, but Alex, Alex definitely made a few points. Like, bro, like for the past maybe 2 years, Lewis Hamilton has been moving like Mike Dean, like just mixing, mastering, producing, getting all the artists in, like everything. He's just been doing everything himself. Like, Toto Wolff just been sitting there like Kanye West, just taking all the glory and that. But like, yeah, like nah, it's just been a bit mad. Like this really shouldn't be like how teams should be working at all. And there definitely needs to be like serious looks within that team as to how their strategy is working, especially with the fact that they've got Russell coming in and that situation, and especially with how they're going to start, you know, how those situations and those relationships are going to work in that dynamic with the new race, a new young hungry racer, I would assume, and not, you know, washed up or Bottas, sorry Kunle, but yeah, like it's gonna have to be it's gonna be like, yeah, I think they really need to have themselves a serious look at how their strategy is working from this point on, really, honestly, Mercedes, because it's been 2 years of just like dross.
Yeah, I think they've not really helped Lewis Hamilton out, and with everything that's going on with another gentleman that we're going to speak about, Michael Masi. It's not really helped out Lewis Hamilton either throughout the season. So
wait, are we going to mention about the podium that wasn't a podium?
That's what we're talking about right now. We're talking about Spa.
No,
Vettel.
A certain Vettel. Yeah.
Sebastian
Vettel DQ, bro.
Yeah, but this is what that man just not have enough fuel in the car.
Right, he just underfueled the car, man.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not on him. That's on his team. You can't really control that.
That's what Red Bull did with Perez the other day.
I'm not gonna lie.
That's different. Perez, man. Yeah, I feel like the video on purpose, but yeah. Seb, man, I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, Kwame, I was gonna say that Vettel didn't really have
Ocon had a
good season. Ocon had a very good race. Ocon won. Alpine had a good season. I think
Alpine had a good race too. Was that where L Plan started?
L Plan, you saw the defending from Fernando Alonso.
Yeah.
On Lewis Hamilton, that's been hyped up and was voted the action moment of the year, on track action moment of the year by the FAA.
And that was the nasty point. That was the nasty stuff, man. That was the nasty point when Anik said he's never gonna get 100. Because I remember it vividly.
Oh yeah,
Anik started that.
Listen,
so Anik.
Right.
This is 2 hours. This right here is just 2 hours of us cooking Anik, and I love it, bro. I love it.
Right, listen. I said it after Silverstone. At FP1 in Silverstone, after Max had dominated and trounced the rest of the grid in Austria. Toto Wolff turned around and said, "We ain't developing the car no more." He had just nailed FP1 by about 1 second. I thought, yeah, he ain't like Red Bull's gonna literally clear up everything the same way Vettel did in 2013. So I just, based on that, I was like, there's a potential that he could not win another race. You saw where I was coming from. Anyway, let's get back to L Plan. I can see Kwame smiling. You're an Alpine fan now, right?
Kwame, I was going to speak to you about Alpine. What did you think of this season? We saw Ocon, we saw Alonso coming back after 2 years. Did they exceed their expectations?
Yeah, definitely. Because like Alpine, Formula One, they've been a team similar to Ferrari that's been having like a lot of talk, a lot of investment, but nothing. So, last year we saw glimpses of, Danny Rick getting his podium, but other than that, they were pretty mid. Before that, Hulkenberg, they were under expectations. Even Sainz as well. Like Sainz didn't do too well when he was out of Renault as well. So they were looking just like a generic midfield team. But this year, consistency in the points, especially towards the end of the season, had a good ending. Getting around 5th, 6th place, whatnot. Ocon got his first W. The team got their first W. Alonso having a good comeback here, getting podiums. He could have easily got a podium in Hungary if the race went on further, and he wasn't trying just to defend Lewis. It's a good season for Alpine, and hopefully from next year they will improve. And one thing I like about Alpine is that they're not like Aston Martin, who are talking a lot, about investing this, investing that. They're just doing their thing. So it will come soon. I don't think guys will for giving these Alpine stocks as well, because I wasn't going to invest, but you guys forced me to invest, and I'm loving it. Allez le bleu.
So, but then Kwame. So how do you go from being Alpha Kwame to Alpine investor? Like, don't you have a conflict of interest there? Like, what's going on?
Listen. It's still Alpha Kwame. It's still Alpha Tauri. It's still Alpine as well. They're not ops like McLaren and Ferrari. You know what I mean? They're just a bit of a regular competitor, like Man City, Liverpool. They're not rivals. They're just
I can't lie, Kwame. I can't lie. Yeah, it's not nice over here at AlphaTauri, bro. It's not nice. Just stay over there at Alpine, bro. Just enjoy. Because over here,
Yeah, bro.
I'm just listen. I'm happy with Gasly and Gasly only, bro.
Manze was
You
feeding
got
on
Yuki
scrubs,
Tsunoda over
starving.
there.
my days, bro. Let's not even talk about that kid right there, bro.
Can you guys stop trying to bully a little, like, leave Yuki, man. He's
Leave
young.
Rookie, man.
Why?
Who are you, man?
He's a
Have shame,
rookie,
man.
bro.
I'll leave Yuki behind the sofa with midget, bro. Fuck that guy.
Oh, hey,
Alright,
no.
bro.
We can't do that. We can't
Hey,
do that.
we
We
don't
can't
do
do
that.
that.
Bro, I don't like that guy.
He's a rookie. He's a rookie.
Alright, Tarek, chat to me.
Hey,
What
he
happened
dumped
when-
you last race. What happened?
Hey, Tarek, what happened
Bro,
when Gasly
don't
went
talk to
Red
me
Bull,
about
bro?
that. Not even.
Tarek, what happened when Gasly went Red Bull? Chat to me about that period of his life.
Brother, you think I care about that second Red Bull seat? That
Nah, but it was there,
diversity
though.
higher, bro. That
It was
forced
there, though.
diversity.
He was there, though.
Brother, they might as well just got a random black guy from whoever, because that second seat is useless, bro. I don't care. We went into AlphaTauri when we started driving, bro. We are literally listen. My man is literally carrying this team, this fashion brand on his back, bro. We almost washed Mr. Shrimp on the Barbie. We almost had Alpine on our lonely. Like, let me not talk too much, because Gasly is that guy. All right, I'll sit here up until tomorrow talking about Gasly. I'm not here to lose all that, bro. Like, if you want to have that talk, we can have that talk, but it's up to you.
No, I'm not questioning Gasly's minerals, yeah. I'm not questioning his minerals. But what I'm saying is, yeah, just leave man like Yuki alone. He's just starting out. Let him settle in.
Man's rushing youngers. What's going on, man?
Why are you rushing youngers, bro? Like, you're a big man on road. Why are you rushing the youngers? Like, let him grow, bro.
I would allow any rushing.
Man, talking like I'm hotting them up outside of school, bro. I'm dead. Like, I'm just waiting outside of the school gates waiting for him to
out the shirt like that, cuz. To relax, bro.
Man's looking at him holding the football like, let me get a touch, bro, and I'm not giving that ball back. Nah, I'm dead, bro. But like, honestly, yeah, I'm talking a lot of gas, but like Yuki, like, I'll be honest, I'm a bit harsh on him because he's like the rookie, innit? And like, I think he's got a good driver. He's put in a lot of, like, he's solid in qualifying as I would expect. I think it's just kind of the race situations where I think Yuki is just a bit like inexperienced, and I think I have no doubt that he'll get better. But of course, the question is kind of just how much better that he will get, and also what the situation is going to be in regards to AlphaTauri and whether either AlphaTauri becomes a serious team, which I severely doubt, or whether Yuki is going to find himself maybe in the Red Bull seat, which I also severely doubt. So it's kind of like a question as to what's really going to happen with Yuki, I think.
Yeah, I think next season is going to be very big for him, and it's going to be big for AlphaTauri as well. So we'll see how it's going to play out in the long run. Okay, let's talk about Masi. Let's talk about the race that never happened. Let's talk about Spa 2021. So this was it the longest? Was it the longest race or no? It was the shortest race in F1 history, where the rain basically washed out the race. Michael Masi was sitting on his hands, waiting for the sky to open up to decide whether we're going to race or not. Then he decided the cars to go round for, was it 3 laps? And say, yeah, I'm going to dish out 2 laps and dish out half points. And that seemed like, now we look back on it, that was a very, very pivotal point in the season. And this is where, at the time, I know Martz, Kunle, Brother Richard, we cooked Masi for this. We said he was incompetent from the jump. And it kind of transpired. We could have foretold everything that happened later on down the line in the season, just from this moment here, because he just looked like completely out of control. Kunle, what did you think of Masi and that whole Spa situation?
I mean, nothing's changed from that period, from how I felt at that time to now. Starting from qualifying that weekend, he was a mess. You know, He felt like he had no control. He didn't know what to do. He was out of his depth. He was confused. I don't know. See, Masi has main character syndrome. You know, like him and Mike Dean should be in the same group chat. Like, what can we do to make this thing about us? And like, it's ridiculous. Like, it's like, yeah, we'll wait, we'll stop, we'll check the weather. Like, you have the weather forecast in front of you, big man. It's not raceable. You know you cannot race. Okay, let's do 3 laps so we can get half points. Like, why? What was the point of that? Like, they looked outside. It wasn't raceable. Nothing had changed. You know, the 2-hour window was going to expire. No laps in. They could have seen the forecast. But why? Like, why are we doing that? Why are we still here? And then you decide, yeah, we're gonna do 3 laps and we'll dish out half points. Have the table looking like 0.5, like we're doing algebra out here, but like man's getting 0.5 points. Like, what the hell is going on? Michael, what are you doing? Like, you know what? I don't even want to remember that weekend because it was a weekend of nothing and everything at the same time because Michael was on rubbish. It was on rubbish. I don't know if there was FIA radio that weekend, if we had anything, but all the drivers on the track were like, yeah, we cannot race. Like, why did we come out again? At some point...
Only one said we can race. I can see fine.
Oh yeah, the guy in front, obviously.
And guess who that was? Yeah.
Obviously, it was the guy. It was the guy in front that wasn't getting any waves in front of him, like no sprays or nothing. Like that was a bit shameless, by the way. Like, what the fuck?
It was pathetic, and it just, for me, it told me that if you're gonna go and do a sprint race and race around third race distance and get 3 points, 2 points, or 1 point for first, second, and third, and then to follow a safety car, not even race. Follow a safety car for 2 laps, cruising at about 50, 60 mile an hour and get half points for that? Nah.
We lost a lot of recipes. We lost a lot of recipes that weekend, man.
And the thing is,
they had man in the house. Sorry, I mean they had man in the house doing fastest lap. They had a Williams. They had man doing getting a podium and crying like, you know, this is my life. All my life I've been waiting for this moment. I used to dream of times like this, but bruh, nah, my head's hot again.
George was shameless on that podium.
He was shameless that weekend. What weekend was it where he was crying in the pit?
That was hungry. That was
hungry.
Yeah, whatever that was, like, oh, I'm so happy for Nikki. I'm so glad. Let's do whatever we can do to help Latifi. No, shut up, man. You know you want to be in that position instead.
Bro, I don't want to hear Latifi's name, man.
Stop trying to be like, let's do it. And then it was there, like, oh yeah, oh, this is a podium. I'm so excited, like, you know, this is what I've dreamt for, blah blah blah. Like, it was just disgusting. And there's people supporting it because they represent that man. Like, first things first. What, you know? Let me just shut up and let's go on.
Yeah, look, that I think. Look,
Richard,
those points, yeah. That podium was just white privilege. That's where it was, bro. That was white privilege.
Right.
Had Lewis been there, they would have got half points.
Massive. That's just Masi. That's just Masi being incompetent.
That's just Masi.
And also, 1 second. Also, before we go on, for the benefit of what we're going to talk about in the future, the race finished behind the safety car.
Yeah, thank you for that, Richard.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Yeah,
that
race was allowed to finish under the safety car. Anik, we saw half points awarded to Max Verstappen and a win credited to him in Spa. Then we saw a dominant performance in Zandvoort. At that point, was you losing hope for number 8 coming home?
No, I wasn't.
No. Don't lie.
No. I'll be honest. I'll be honest with you. No, I wasn't, because there's a reason why they awarded half points there. You know, they wanted to keep it entertained. Well, I don't know, not entertained. They wanted Max to win. All right, fair enough. They let him win. The Dutch Grand Prix, that is just a 1 lap shootout. Like, I don't even think there was like more than 5 overtakes in that race. Like, that track, I don't rate at all. But I think looking ahead at that point, Mahad, you could see that there were power tracks coming up. You know, you had Turkey, you had Russia, you had USA, you have obviously all the Middle Eastern tracks. I thought the Mercedes could come through. So I'll be honest with you, bro. All hope wasn't lost at that point. Obviously, Italy. Yeah, all hope wasn't lost at that point.
So what?
Yeah.
So
All hope wasn't lost at that
No,
point.
no, no.
I kept it quiet. You guys obviously remembered what I said back in July. You remember what I said?
No,
But
it wasn't
deep
just
down-
July. It was in August as well,
Yes,
and in
of course.
September.
bro. I said
So,
that.
so where was this
Receipts,
belief?
Marks.
Where was this
Receipts,
belief?
please.
Bro, deep
Mars.
down-
Listen,
Hold,
it was the
chill,
day
chill,
before
chill.
Sochi. You were saying this as well.
Yeah,
Alright.
in Sochi,
So-
I was saying that, but bro, it was a power circuit. I thought, yeah, Mercedes could pull something out. But let's be honest, Mercedes didn't cover themselves in glory in Italy, though, did they? Let's talk about
No,
Italy.
okay, let's talk about Monza. Monza, we saw qualifying. That was another sprint race, and we saw Bottas absolutely dominating the weekend, even though he had an engine penalty and a fresh engine in there. So we saw him stick it on pole. And was it a front row lockout in quali with him and Lewis Hamilton, or
It
was
might
Max
have
Verstappen
been.
second?
It might have been. I think it was a front row.
McLaren.
Or McLaren.
No, quali, not sprint quali,
First
qualifying.
quality was Mercedes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mercedes lockout, yeah.
Yeah, quality
then-
itself was Mercedes lockout. Yeah.
Yeah, Mercedes
That was a
lockout. So
sprint
we
race.
thought. So going into that weekend, you was thinking, okay, this looks like a Mercedes dub here. We've got front row lockout. Even though Bottas is not going to be there, Hamilton should be on the front row come Sunday. We saw the events that transpired on the sprint race where Hamilton had an awful start and got dunked on by a lot of people on that start, and didn't put himself in a position where
Bozo
he
Gene.
could. This is ridiculous, Mars. I'm going to clip this and we're going to put this, and you're going to get cooked for this Bozo Gene talk. The man is a 7-time brackets 8-time world champion. Let's not do this.
Listen, even Messi has a Bozo Gene as well. You know, come on, man.
Messi don't have a Bozo Gene. I'm a Barcelona fan. We're not going to do that. The guy scores 91 goals in a season.
Yeah, but he doesn't even play for you no more, bro.
Yeah, but still, a ride out. Yeah, come on. Monza, we saw another iconic clash between Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton. Slow pit stop for Max Verstappen, who was running in P2 behind Daniel Ricciardo, who got a good start off and was leading the race from the first corner to the end. And that kind of coincided with Lewis Hamilton's a little bit slow.
Slower pit stop.
Well, no. Well, Max Verstappen was 11 seconds.
But Lewis was slow too.
Lewis was like 4-ish seconds, and then
It shouldn't.
you know how you know. It's like Liberty Media wrote it in the story that this guy will come out of the pits, and they'll be there together on turn one, and we saw Max Verstappen's car landed on top of Lewis Hamilton's car to DNF in that race. Thinking back on it, Tarek, what did you think of that whole situation with that crash? Do you think who was at fault?
I think it was pretty clear that Max was at fault for that situation. I mean, like that turn, I mean, it could have been, it was as obvious to anyone that Lewis had that turn. I mean, and then Max did what Max does. I mean, I know with the Silverstone situation, we kind of decided it was a race. That one was not something that I was, going to have a discussion with. Like, that was clearly Max's issue right there. Someone said tactical foul. But yeah, I mean, the situation was that I feel like the whole thing, it kind of like felt like it was insult to injury because the race itself, like, it really wasn't that good for Mercedes anyway. No Max, because when you have the two McLarens leading the race, and you're either Mercedes or Red Bull, that's a bit of an issue. You know what I mean? So we can kind of have that discussion all we want. I kind of feel like it was it was kind of like the cherry on top of the shit cake, or whatever they say. It was just kind of like a bad situation all around.
Yeah. Does anybody else want to put their 2 cents in to that incident?
I maintain Lewis was not going to win that race after that. Whatever transpired. I feel like a lot of people, with hindsight, say, "Oh, Lewis could have won that race if Max didn't crash." I don't think he would have. I think McLaren was definitely going to win, whether it was Norris or Danny Rick. Well, it would have been Danny Rick because Norris, when Lewis came out, he was right behind Norris as well.
Yeah, but Mads, don't you think again, remember like Danny Rick had to stand back, right? Do you think if Lewis was there to push Danny Rick in a way, if Lewis was there to push Norris, don't you think it could have affected how that race went? Because Norris wasn't pushing. Remember that, right? Like there was no one pushing.
Yeah, Norris was holding back to like hold up Hamilton basically, so Danny Rick can get some more space. I feel like, but with the McLaren, we saw it previously when you're getting it, when you're at a track which is basically a DRS train, you're going around. It's very hard to overtake, especially at when you have the same power unit. And if the McLaren has a higher top speed than you, even if you try to add the DRS, I don't think it's going to have that much of it. The DRS effect isn't as much at Monza than it is at other places. So I feel like there wasn't enough time to catch Danny Rick anyway. I feel like there was how many?
Let's be honest. Neither Lewis or Max was winning that race.
No.
Neither of them were winning.
I said at most Lewis is finishing second, and that's great points as well. But he kind of messed it up when he had a terrible start. So
they left the weekend on 0, both of them. Yeah. So nobody was a winner there in that situation. The only people that are winners were the only people that got P1 and P2 on a weekend.
The Papaya Boys,
the whole season. The
Papaya only team boys. To get a double, but still finish 4th. Wow.
And I'm gonna ignore that comment.
That penalty that Max got was ridiculous. That was atrocious. Just 5th place.
Bro, do you reckon he even cared for Lewis? He parked the car on his head and he just walked away.
I'm not gonna care about. I'm not.
No, but I wasn't surprised. I'm not
surprised. He ain't gonna care.
He doesn't like. I'm not surprised. Again, Max came out. That crash was basically because Max had a bad speed. He had a bad pit stop and he was pissed. He was upset. He was just he was just driving like, yeah, fuck it, ride out, we ride out. It was just riding out like anyone in my way. You let me go past or we end the race. Like it was one or the other. So whatever happened at that point, he didn't care already. Like he had lost time in the pits. We might as well end the race now. But yeah, sorry, Matt, you're gonna ask me a question.
No, I was gonna ask you, Conley. Obviously, McLaren P1, P2. What did you think of their season?
The season it was basically a season of like two sides, right? You know, we could break the McLaren season into different ways. We could discuss the drivers separately, or we could discuss the team performance wise from the start of the season to a certain point, and from that point to the end. But in a way, I'm upset Danny Rick got that win because I don't think he had deserved that win at that point of the season. Like, you know, Norris put the team on his back. Basically, he put the team on his back, regardless of what anyone wants to say. He was lapping his teammate in the same car, like the same car.
Yeah, no, I was just saying, like, in regards to Norris, I feel like we should have the Sochi discussion.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Kind of had the full, Norris thing. I'm looking at you, man, but yeah, I mean that's like
no, Tarek. That's why I said we could break McLaren's season down into 2 parts.
No, but I'm just saying I wanna get the Norris slander in right now. Quickly, I'm shaking for it like a crackhead. You know what I mean?
All right. Let's talk Sochi. Let's talk Win 100 and the McLaren L's. So,
and when certain man ran to Dublin,
a certain man left the country, fled charges.
But I might need to jump on a plane right now. I'll be honest with
you. So Russia. We moved on to Russia. Weird quali. Started to rain at the end of Q3. Norris got his first pole position in Formula One, and I think who was second? It was Sainz, and then George Russell third. So all the guys that decided to pit for Inters a bit earlier and got them tires warm. Managed to put in some elite quality laps, and we had a kind of mixed up grid to start that race. They were threatening rain throughout the race. That was going to come. It was going to come. We saw Norris and Sainz go off into the distance. They were doing their thing, and as the race went down, Lewis was clearing guys because Lewis does what he needed to do as always. And there was a lot of Max Verstappen took an engine penalty. Charles Leclerc took an engine penalty, starting at the back of the grid, and they were clearing guys as well. It looked like Lando's to lose.
One person was clearing guys faster than the other, though. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, we'll think about that. Put yourself on mute, Marks, man. I'm trying to speak here.
I'm telling you, man, that picture too funny.
So, yeah, a couple laps from the end.
Let's get you, man.
Hey, man, just let
for listeners. Tarek has changed his display picture to a set of inters.
Yeah,
for those that want to know about set of inters,
very new, perfectly fine inters, just sitting there wondering why it hasn't been used yet. You know, it's really, really strange. It's really, really confusing. It's kind of sad actually that you have this really amazing set of Inter's tires just waiting to be used and it hasn't been used yet. Is there just any insight into this, Mahad? You know?
It started to rain. Teams started to pit for Inters because they knew it was going to be heavy rain. They were telling Lando on the radio, "Yo, you need to pit for some Inters, you know." And he's like, "Nah, I'm in the lead. I can hold it down." And then he slid off the track, and Sir Lewis Hamilton, who decided to pit for Inters, who was in P2, sailed off for win 100, and Lando Norris ended up 7th place, I think, once he eventually pit for Inters. So
I think it was 6.
Yeah, is it 6th or 7th? One of those.
7th.
Was it 7th?
7th. Yeah.
7th.
So yeah, an L for Lando Norris, basically getting his first win snatched out of his hands. Me personally, I blame strategy on that. You need to be more,
Wait.
I'm blaming strategy. You don't suggest put Inters on. You tell a man put Inters on.
Hold on, Mats.
You are a heritage team.
Mats, we were having this discussion, just a few moments ago about Bozo jeans and Hungary and not coming in when you're supposed to. Do you want to kind of just reiterate that discussion?
All right, yeah. So we saw Lewis do something similar again.
Lewis didn't say no on the radio to
yeah, he did.
Yeah, he did say no.
He did.
He didn't say no.
He did. The first time.
He did say no. First time he said no. First time he said no.
He did.
And then
he did say that. Martin's right.
Yep. Then the second time, Bono said, "No, we really need to put on Inters because the rain's going to get heavier." That's when he came in.
Well, that's Turkey. That's Turkey, innit?
Huh? No,
that's
Turkey.
That was Russia.
That was Spa.
Yeah,
sorry,
Russia.
not Spa. It's Sochi.
Russia.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah. So yeah. Okay. Yeah. You're right. So Sochi ignored it, but then he listened.
Yeah.
Norris just didn't listen at all.
But then
they didn't even ask him.
Exactly. It's that same
Norris was being
Bozo
wrong and strong.
I won't call. You might get your agenda off, man. There's no point.
It's not an agenda. It's what happened. It's
the gospel truth, bro.
Let's get the elephant out of the room. Yeah. I'll speak about McLaren since I'm a McLaren fan. Hell of a season. This is not a good season. It's not a good season from Lando. It's not a good season from Daniel Ricciardo. It's not a good season for strategy. It's not a good season for pit stops. We're one of the slowest teams on pit stops. This is not good enough. Considering we had a fast car, we got the Mercedes engine in there. We weren't no slouches. We won a race in Monza. That should have been Lando's win right there because he was listening to team orders. He could have dunked on Ricciardo anytime he wanted to in that race, by the way. For those that are Ricciardo fans that listen out there, that was team orders. That was Lando's win right there. And we took a dive bomb towards the end of the season.
Team orders that race as well.
Yes, because he knew that he could dunk on him. That's why. Because Daniel Ricciardo is Meedi. This is what I'm saying. Like, we should have had P3 in the bag like by a large margin. That wasn't the case. We lost it to Ferrari. Ferrari, well done. They made the developments, they made the improvements, and they deservedly got P3 in the championship. Not to say, to me personally, if it ain't P1, I don't care. It's been like that from day one. But this season was not a good season, and it's not a good step for next season as well. So unless they decided a conscious decision to say, we don't give a fuck about this season and we're working on next season, if you don't come out of the blocks, then what the fuck was the point of anything? So before you all get on to me, Lando had a nosedive, especially after Russia, after losing that win. His head was gone.
Doing a tour.
His head was kettled in Monza.
Too busy.
He got P2. I've never seen someone get P2 and be that killed. Norris was kettled, you know.
Yeah,
because he knows that.
I think he wanted that win. He wanted that win in Monza.
Exactly.
But sure, man,
and then Russia happened.
He was drive, man. At the end, like, bro,
that's what triggered.
He thought he was on the simulator on his Twitch. He thought, I've done this before my simulator. I'll do it here. You donut. You absolutely.
All right, no, listen. We're not gonna do Norris slander. You better.
Yes.
No.
Brother,
No,
hear what?
No, we are.
I'm not hearing Norris slander from Marks, who represents Giovinazzi. My man's in Formula E. I ain't trying to hear none of that.
That's sticky. He's stuck down, bro. He's stuck down,
trying to hear none of that. And then he'll come back and say, "Oh, but Lewis is my driver. He's the GOAT." And then he'll call him a fucking bozo gene. Make up your mind, brother.
Listen, I call Lewis is my GOAT, and I'll still admit he has a bozo gene. I don't care. All
right, yeah. So I'll say McLaren were bozos this year. Poor season, and that's the end of it. We won't speak on that.
I mean, it felt weird because like after Sochi, it went downhill. Like, it felt like there was no development, and Ferrari were bringing on development upgrades, and McLaren had no answer. And Ferrari had two drivers who were securing points together. Like, if Leclerc finished fourth, Sainz was finishing fifth. If Sainz finished fifth, Leclerc was finishing sixth. Like, they were so close to each other, and the output, they had output on that side, and it just felt like Norris was savaging 1 point in 10th. 1 point, and at some point I was just like, yeah, this man have it already. And I like Lando. I like Lando. I like the work he did at the early start of the season, and that's why I give him I feel like when he had the car to sort of when he had the car to work with, he put in some good drives. Austria was a very good drive. He's
a good kid from a good home, man. He's just not.
I don't know if he's a good kid from a good home. That's by the way. That's
who, Norris?
Yeah.
I don't know about him as a person. I don't know if he's backing Max or whoever. But personally, I think you guys. I think Mahad's actually been a bit too harsh on McLaren. I think you guys done all right this year. I think if there's anyone to look at. Yeah, okay.
We used it on the engine. You have to use the majority of your token on the engine.
So you have to use both of them on the engine.
No, we had one on the engine and one on the diffuser or something like that.
They changed the engine from Renault to Mercedes here. They had to
and then we had to do the house around the engine. So use your tokens to put the house around the engine.
That's why, because they might got extra tokens as well, pretty sure. If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, but we'll put that for next year. You used it for next year.
Oh, you got extra ones as well. I thought you used both of them and didn't have extra ones.
No, they use all them on the engine.
When you change engine, it takes bare tokens, bro.
Yeah.
So I feel as though, bro, the problem I think for McLaren this year was Danny Rick. Norris was doing his job, man, up until Sochi. Okay, fair enough. He didn't completely fall off, but he didn't do as well. Danny Rick's a problem there this year, man. 16 mil. 16 mil a year.
This is why I'm harsh on McLaren. Because that's a decision made from the top. That's a decision made from the top. You got other drivers available in that market. You didn't really.
But you're expecting a bit more from him, though, innit? That's why.
No, they brought him in to be the number one driver. They brought him in to be the number one driver, bro.
You don't pay.
Let's not lie.
So basically, it's basically like paying transfer fees for a player that's trying to leave his club. Danny required to leave Renault. He had them man in Renault crying. He had the team principal crying at the end of last year, like, "Oh, he's leaving us." He wanted to leave. Like, you don't that much. I don't know. Maybe it was the money. I don't 16 mil is a lot. That's
bro. We're broke. We're broke. We can't be paying people 16 mil.
You can't be paying 16 mil, bro. Like Ron Dennis would never. Ron Dennis would not pay Danny Rick 16
Ron
mil.
Dennis would not hire him in the first place. He's too smiley. We don't hire clowns, bro.
Yeah,
Ron Dennis don't hire clowns, bro.
I know it was very disappointing. Like because like I had respect for Danny Rick. I gave him ratings from his.
I'm
Anyway,
gonna say
it's
this right now. Look,
contribution.
Can I say this right now? Danny Rick is the second worst signing in McLaren history next to Kovalainen.
It's all karma. It's
Not
all
Alonso-
karma for
not-
what
not
McLaren
Alonso.
did to Lewis.
Not
It's
Alonso
all
the second
karma.
time.
It's all karma for what McLaren did to Lewis. That's what you're suffering for the
It's
rest of your lives.
It's not Alonso the second time because
No,
I thought
McLaren-
that Alonso.
No.
Alonso
that
Alonso
the second time.
remontada was horrible.
We fucked up. We fucked up.
Mm.
The car was meaty. The engine was meaty.
The car was
Everything
meaty. If you had a meaty,
You know what I'm
if you had a meaty
You know
car,
what
you
I'm
don't
saying?
tell me.
Right now. Okay, let me ask you this question: Who would you rather have, Ricardo or Alonso? Right now,
Alonso.
who would you rather have right now, Perez or Ricardo?
I said it's sticky still though.
Perez.
For me, it's
I
a
would
bit
rather
sticky
have
'cause,
Ricardo
like,
and Perez.
Mother's life, I'd rather stand Perez.
Ricardo
Perez.
over Alonso. Perez.
You're
over
putting that on Mom's life.
Ricardo.
Mom's life.
I don't know about Perez.
I was looking at this from the outside, looking at Daniel Ricciardo at Renault and Red Bull, whatever. This guy is a false image, bro. This guy is a false image, bro.
I
He
never
got
believed in him.
podiums for Renault though.
One. Never believed in him, man.
And man, I don't know, man. Perez, man, bro. I don't know Perez.
Was
mean,
it
Perez got
which-
shit for Kevin.
What was
You
there?
see-
Because I
Man,
thought that
Perez
one
got
was you
shit.
just got P4. That was it.
Perez got shit for Kevin Magnussen, man. Like,
I can't
Bro.
lie, you're not having a mid off right now, bro. You're not just
Hey,
talking about a bunch of
bring me
mid
Gasly,
drivers
bring me
right now, bro.
Bring me Gasly. Bring me Gasly.
Yeah,
you know what?
yeah,
I'll
talk
take
about
Pierre.
some
I'll take
serious
Pierre.
drivers right now, bro.
I'll
No,
take
no,
Pierre.
no.
I'll take Pierre. I'll take Pierre.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
come.
Everybody will take Pierre.
I know, but if hey, listen. If
Not
Pierre
Red
ever
Bull,
came-
though.
Pierre
if
wanted to come in.
if
Pierre wanted
let me keep this rule, Tarek, right now. If Pierre ever came to McLaren and he got cooked by Lando, yeah, we're gonna have conversations. All
right, bro, get him in that car
We're
first, innit? Make
gonna
your
have
call,
conversations.
innit? Make your
We're
calls on
gonna have
that.
conversations because
Oh,
you might
no
go
problem.
ghost. You might go ghost.
Nah,
ghost.
not happening.
All right, let's talk about Win 100. Sir Lewis Hamilton. There's a certain like. Have you ever played the game Among Us? We've got a traitor among us. His name's Anik. A man that said. A man
Stuck in
that
the
said.
basement somewhere.
We already cooked him. We already cooked you. We already did a whole section for you on the pod. If you guys want to listen to that, it's our Russia review, and we put Anik in the High Court. But we're not going to cook you today on that because we already cooked you, all right?
Why not?
So, no, because relax. He's already paid these crimes. Actually,
Listen,
you
I
know
want
what?
to overcook him. I want to overcook him.
Okay, man. Cook that, man.
No, okay.
This one was deserved because this guy was chatting the most saying he ain't going to 100, he ain't going to 100. Then this guy's went to Dublin. I'm nowhere in the GC, and now he started celebrating towards the end. But we'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Cool
We'll
dance.
get there. No, because we've got a couple of lists of questions about that, so we'll get on that a little bit later on the listeners' questions. Yeah,
That's
but
cool.
I'm gonna come to you, Kwame. Win 100. What do you think?
Yeah, that was a good win.
It's deserved. Legend.
He's a legend. No, he's a great sport. I feel like this race it was deserved, and he did his job. I mean, Lando back under pressure. Lando fumbled with his first win. Don't get me wrong. I feel Lando gets his first win next season. In my opinion, him and Sainz. I'm putting a prediction out there already. But I feel like he was calm under pressure. He realized that obviously he's behind Lando, so he had less pressure by the tires. He came in, checked his tires, and just composed himself to drive and just finished at home. Did what he needed to do. Had a good race, so yeah, it deserved. And obviously, he's winning them racing the championship. You've got to take as much points as you can, and he did that. So, learn his mistakes from Hungary.
I'm gonna come to you, Mars. Mars, what did you think of Lewis Hamilton's season overall? Was it one of his best, or was it a little bit of a decline?
I mean, I've come for him a lot this season, but I actually think this might have been his best season I've ever seen from him. I felt like he had to get to a new level than he previously has had to. I mean, obviously he's had his fights with his battles with like Vettel and Rosberg and Alonso and everybody else in. But I feel like this Lewis it's actually like it's so upsetting to not see him walk away with the championship this season, because I genuinely believe this is the best Lewis we'll ever see ever. because the stuff he's done this season is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, we'll get onto it. I think when we talk about performances of the season later, they're all going to be Lewis performances because I don't see anyone that's been close to him. Like, just even getting a 10 place grid penalty at Sochi and to actually just destroy it like that, just come back. I know it's a Merc track, but I was so confident. I said, you know what, he's going to win this race. He was going to win this. It's not the end of the world being there. And yeah, like Lewis this season, I think has been his best season ever. I mean, he's made a number of mistakes, but I think it's only highlighted maybe because of how competitive the Red Bull was. Had it just been like the W11 where it was completely dominant, don't think I would be talking about these mistakes anyway and be highlighting them. But I genuinely believe, yeah, this is his greatest season. I can't think of a season that's near this for me, to be honest.
Yeah, I think this was like the upshift in form, especially from Russia and Turkey. Turkey took the grid penalty as well. Managed to get P5. Kind of got fucked over. I don't know that strategy situation, who to put it on, if it's Merc or him on decisions.
There was so much going against him this season as well. Like, he was battling everyone. He was battling FIA. He was battling Red Bull. He was battling his own team. He was battling his own teammate. Like,
that's
probably was going against him, and he still came out on top. Basically,
that's probably even despite all the the mistakes that we can list. It really got to a point here where he was battling like two teams, five or six drivers, and a whole a regulatory board, like a whole bunch of stewards, all at the same time trying to get a win. And he would have done it if they didn't steal it from him. So I honestly feel like, I feel like the discussion to be had in regards to whether this is one of his best seasons, I think is still kind of up in the air, because I feel like he's had cleaner seasons, so to speak. Like, he's had seasons where he has genuinely wiped the floor with a whole load of people, with everyone else, and that's kind of like, you can kind of have that argument as to whether those have been his better seasons technically. The level that we've seen. Sorry, I think the level that. Yeah, no, just one final thing. I feel like the level that he's been at this season, I feel like it's just been at a crazy level that I don't think I've seen from him in a very long while, or ever really.
Yeah, I feel like this season he's come through like so many points deficits. Like, there's been, was it 21 at one point? He had a 21-point deficit. Then he had a 33-point deficit as well. That's twice. That's crazy, man. That's crazy. And to keep up with the Red Bull at some of the Red Bull strong tracks as well. I mean, obviously Austria and Mexico completely, he got dusted. But the others, yeah, man.
Yeah, I was going to move on to that, because talking about adversity in so late in the season, when we talk about USA and Mexico,
Max's best performance in USA, by the way.
USA and Mexico, it looks very, very, very bleak in terms of the title challenge. I'm going to come to you, Anik, first. What did you think of Mercedes and Red Bull's performances in those races, and where did you think it was going to go from there?
Yeah, I think USA, Mexico. Obviously, Red Bull wins. Because obviously I think we done the end of season preview with Tomo, and I think we done our own, and I think we even suggested that USA would be a Mercedes circuit. Hamilton was going to win. Obviously, after I think he got him into the first corner right at USA, and then obviously after the pit stops, ironed themselves out, he was behind Max, and Max was just pulling away in USA, and it was just like, all right, okay, you're taking the L here, but Mexico, like we were expecting Max to we were expecting the Red Bulls to do well, but I think when you look at qualifying and the fact that Mercedes got 1-2, Bottas being third, and then literally just parking it in the middle of the road. Max, you know, he done a great move into turn one, and obviously after that from Mexico, you know, once you're in the lead there, it's very unlikely you see a change in leader in that race over the years, and obviously this year was the same case. Thoughts after the race, bro? I tell you one thing. I told you at what was it, at Monza, the season could still be on. After this, yeah, done and dusted. Literally, two circuits that, you know, Mercedes weren't even close. Hamilton wasn't even that close. I thought, yeah, done and dusted. And then obviously we went on to the final leg, Brazil, which we'll talk about. But yeah, you know, I just saw Red Bull just cleaning up at that point.
Yeah, it looked really, really down bad in that situation. Mexico kind of gave false hope because Mercedes front row lockout, but considering what Bottas did, just off in pant, and the late braking of Max Verstappen on the outside, that was just all hope lost in that situation, in that race.
I think, I'm one of the few people that think USA wasn't that bad.
Mercedes was faster. I think Mercedes was faster.
Because Max was defending with his life. It was basically him defending probably to like 2 laps.
Because he was slower. He was slower in that race. And
he was much slower. He just defended. He put his car in very good positions when Lewis was behind, and he got like that DRS. He got a DRS at the end. There was a point where Lewis would have had DRS, and then he got that DRS from, I think, Alonso or someone. He got it, and that was basically like, you know, because again,
he kept Lewis in dirt. Yeah, he kept Lewis in the dirt.
He kept Lewis in dirt. Yeah, basically. So, you know, but Mexico, I wasn't expecting anything from Mexico because traditionally, even in the past, even when Mercedes had like the best car and everything, they don't really seem to do all that. They've not really seemed to do that well since they started going to Mexico again. Like, if I remember, Lewis finished like P5 there before, P4, something like that. And even when he won his title there, he wasn't even on. There was a point where he won his title and he wasn't even on the podium for winning the title. And, you know, so I wasn't really surprised about Mexico per se. So, but USA would have been a traditional Mercedes track. But then once it was obvious that they had the faster car in USA, and with like power heavy circuits to come, in a way people sort of felt like, you know what, if Lewis gets it right, there's a very big chance of Mercedes just sort of strolling this to the end. And I think that's what we saw in Brazil. You know, when that new sweet juice came in. But I'll let you take over that.
Yeah, I was gonna move on to that. That's where we saw the Lewis charge, the start of the charge. I predicted this. I said this. I said whoever wins Brazil is winning the title. Max Verstappen wins in Brazil, where he's long gone. No matter what, because you know what you could do? You could just do a Rosberg and just be finishing P2 for the rest of the season and win the title anyway. So it's so pivotal, Brazil. And let's talk about adversity. Let's talk about Lewis Hamilton and what happened in Brazil. So, first of all, it was a sprint race. Quali stuck it on P1. Great quali lap. Then FIA got involved. Oh, your wing's a bit dodgy. You're going to have to hold that and start right at the back on the sprint race. Sprint race, he parted the sea like Moses. Got rid of hella cars.
15 cars.
15 cars. Well, they ended up P5 for the race.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, P5, yeah.
And in the race, he quickly just dunked on a lot of people.
And he got engine penalty, so he started P10.
And then he had the engine penalty, got put back again, then cleared all.
It was always going to take the engine penalty from the start of the weekend.
He masterclass. Lewis Hamilton masterclass. The guy had 25 grid points on his head top, and he still managed to win the race. And I think that was the turning point. Red Bull were kettled. Max was kettled. You saw Max bloody pushing this guy out wide.
Well, if I say man touching the wing as well, man touching Lewis's wing.
Man was touching Lewis's wing. Got
bro, why is he touching someone else's car? Why is he touching someone else's car?
Hey, look, Seb can do it.
Too disrespectful, man.
No, but Seb don't.
I think it's kind of.
Anik, you just said punt the guy in the wall, and now you're moaning about man touching people's cars. Are you okay, Anik? Are you okay?
I can't stand Max.
You're
I'll be real
moving
with you.
mad.
I can't stand Max.
You're moving mad. Tarek, we haven't gone to you in a while. Let me know about Lewis Hamilton's performance in Brazil.
It was honestly one of the best performances I've seen from him in a long while. That's when I kind of looked at it. That's probably when a lot of people got hope as to the fact that wow, like Lewis could actually do this. He could actually bring this back, because that was an incredible drive. I think probably the biggest highlights of it was the fact that we were really shaking when he was getting up to Max. I feel like when he was racing Max, a lot of people didn't really have the biggest idea as to how much trouble Max was going to give him, because I feel like they didn't really have the biggest kind of on-track clashes at that point. That was probably the biggest on-track clash at that point, where we saw like Max is really just kind of like driving like a psychopath. He's really just he will do whatever it takes to get to win this race. But he got to that point where Lewis, first of all, he was patient. He didn't get rattled. He didn't take any unnecessary risks. He knew that there were plenty of laps for him to go to take that position. He knew he could just take him on a DRS track. He thought that he could take him, of course, outside of what was it? Is it turn 3, the one at the very end, or is it turn 4? I'm not sure, but the one where Max and Lewis obviously went very wide. I think everybody knows that situation.
Turn 4.
But
It's turn 4, yeah.
Turn 4 is what it's called, yeah. But yeah, I think there I think we were properly. I mean, of course, there was anger as well. Definitely anger, especially from me, because that was kind of completely unacceptable to me that you would even have that race. Race in that situation in that way. But again, like I said, Lewis took his time. He knew exactly. He learned from that situation, and he took him on the DRS track. It was probably the safest way that he could have taken him. And then after he took Max, it was plain sailing from there. I think he got about 10 seconds on him or something like that. I'm not sure, but he had 10 seconds on Max at the end of the race. So he really he drove the drive of his life, like the race of his life, really. That was at the point where he just he went Super Saiyan, like I said. And he just took it, and it kind of just gave us a lot of us hope to the fact that he might actually do it.
Yeah, and then we saw next in Qatar, just another.
Wait. Before we move on to Qatar, that's when we realized the FIA were corrupt and they were trying to do this, man.
I'm sorry, but it's for anybody that's been watching Formula One from way back. You know the FIA are corrupt. Why are we acting?
I mean, of course, yeah. We all know that, but like we knew that they were trying to do things, manipulate it, so it makes it harder for Lewis to win.
We're talking about Masi Esmalo. That's what we're talking about.
Masi Esmalo.
Bro, this is what part 3 of Masi Esmalo.
Yeah.
Trust me.
Yeah, but a guy being incompetent. What's that got to do? He's not fit for the job. None of these.
Yeah, but I feel like you know what I feel like it is with Masi. I feel like the guy is.
I think
I think really trying to tell him like he needs to influence it in certain ways. If you hear what I'm saying, like I feel like he himself, if he was allowed to do it, he would fuck up anyway. But then now he's got other people trying to tell him how he needs to influence the race, which is even more fucked up.
You know, when you got that annoying kid, yeah, always in your ear, yeah, that's probably what it was like for Masi. Like you just had Red Bull in his ear, constantly complaining, saying this, and eventually he just gives in and ends up doing it. Like, how can you? Like, it was what 0.02 of a millimeter bigger. Max was touching the thing. That could have affected it.
No way.
Yeah, you wanna?
Do you know what?
No.
Are you insane?
Rules
are rule, bro.
Yeah.
You're talking about what happened.
We're talking about the footage, the lost footage that
We're talking
Yeah.
about lost footage.
I was
That's
gonna
enough footage.
I was gonna come on to that. Why did it take so long for them to release the cut? Why didn't he make that informed decision there and then? Are you trying to tell me that it takes 2-3 days for them to see what exactly happened? But then after that, you didn't even penalize him for it.
That's
You didn't even
that's
penalise
on
him
the
for it.
stewards because everybody in the world knew that was a penalty.
Of course.
I've been watching Formula 1 for how long? That's a penalty. I don't need to see extra footage. I don't need to see telemetry or see what he did.
Yeah. Oh, we don't need to see his.
I don't need to see that. I don't know why
steering
people are
wheel,
waiting
yeah.
on it. I don't know why people are waiting on it. It's a slam dunk penalty.
because I
The
feel
guy
like
didn't even keep. He took the corner. He didn't even keep it on the asphalt. He was
Yeah.
off the track. If you take
I
the
feel
corner, you
like
don't even keep it
people
on
wanted
asphalt.
that footage
It's
to
penalty.
just prove it, to prove that
It
he
don't-
done it
there's
on
no-
purpose.
the
But
Proof,
I mean, we all
the
knew
proof.
he
Do you know
did
what the proof is? Mark, do you know what the proof is? That Max Verstappen's car was off track. That's the proof.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't need to see
as
that.
you said, we all
Bro.
saw it as a penalty. We
Bro.
all know it's a penalty.
Mhm.
But people, if you wanted to say the more skeptical people, if you have it from Max's view and you see that his steering wheel, he's actually not steering correctly, and he's actually purposely trying to push Max off track. Is that I'm sorry, Lewis off track? It was slam dunk. It was another slam dunk, and it
No,
just
but I think you're ineffective as stewards and the people that make the decisions. If you can't see that in real time, I'm not.
they weren't ineffective because they done what they wanted to do. Like they knew what they were going to do, and they
Exactly.
knew that what they weren't going to give him a penalty because it will affect the championship. It's not about
Bro,
being
It's
ineffective.
cor-
They knew
bro,
exactly,
they knew
what they
exactly
were doing.
what they were doing. Yeah, they knew exactly what they were doing.
All right. So Qatar, I'm going to come to you, Kwame. Yeah, the charge carried on. Lewis looked very comfy that whole weekend. Tell me your thoughts on Qatar.
I didn't know I was on mute. Yeah, Qatar. Qatar was yeah, it was a good race for Lewis. I mean, not much really happened, did it? I mean, for Lewis, I mean, he qualified. He qualified in P1 and just brought home essentially. Like Qatar was much of a decent race. I mean, we talked about Alonso as well, getting P3. He had a good race that weekend. Shout out to Alpine cars, did well. But again, he had a very good qualifying weekend anyways because he qualified P3 as well. So.
That P3 stinks.
Yeah,
Respect Alpine. Respect Alpine.
Alpine. That's where Alpine came from, and that's where my Alpine have came from as well, probably because I remember tweeting it saying that Alonso's gonna get a third weekend. I don't know why. I tweeted it. Chris told me, "Nah, it's happening," and it happened, didn't it? So,
Bang.
yeah. That's where kind of the whole Alpine have got. I'm not even Alonso's biggest fan. I can't lie. I'm not even the biggest fan, but I've got one for it because of gender now. So, yeah. Max came second as well from P7. Came up. He also got fast lap as well that race. He do actually need to do it. He overtook cars. Yeah, it was an interest. It was an okay race.
Yeah, Max did Max did recovery as well. He's trying to do Brazil impression in Qatar because he had that penalty for driving through red double yellows, and then immediately he got P2 immediately in the first corners. So everybody was like, everybody was begging, let's please give this guy a penalty. So it's gonna help. Within 3 corners, he was P2. I was like, this is a
because again, the guys in front of
Gasly didn't. Yeah,
So,
Gasly
Gasly
didn't help him out.
Tarek, Gasly off in pan.
Gasly went.
Yeah,
nice
I
and
know.
wide.
That
Charge it to the game, bro.
was disgusting for Gasly as well. Yeah, I remember that at the start because like
Listen,
Gasly
bro, they-
as well, and then dropped down to P11.
Listen, bro. They had his dog. They took pictures of his dog. They were like, "Listen, you need to do what we tell you to do, otherwise he's gonna get it." And it was tough for him, innit? Like we have to just charge that to the game, you know. We do what we have to do to survive in this world. You get me?
He was P2
Hear what?
and he dropped to P11.
Tarek,
That wasn't even the worst thing about it. You know what the worst thing about it was? That whole about it was the fact that Alonso got in front of him. If he at least had Alonso behind him, I wouldn't have even like said anything. I really would have. I would have been fine with it. But you're gonna let this bozo get the podium instead of you, and you got where? This guy,
first lap.
yeah,
Gasly got
he
caught by
finished
Alonso.
10th, bro. Like, I mean, and Pierre, no, not even 10th. He finished 11th. He didn't even get a single point, and he qualified that high. I can't even say nothing about it. It was shit.
I think that was an Alpine, and I mean that was an Alpha. That strategy.
It was an Alpha Tower. Yeah,
That strategy was Bottas because I don't know what they were thinking of doing
And
two
they've
laps.
been doing that this season as well. They've been doing
But
this.
even then, like a lot,
Nah,
even then, a lot of people, yeah, no, a lot of people said that they put a lot of the blame on AlphaTauri, but I still feel like Gasly should have done better anyway. I feel like even at the start or anything like that, I feel like he could have held his position a little bit better. But yeah, I mean, if you want to attribute all the blame to AlphaTauri, that's fine by me.
yeah, I mean, because they put him on new tires and he couldn't even do anything with new tires because it was an 11 and it was just stuck in 11 till the end. Like, he made
Yeah,
no sense.
exactly.
Like, that whole weekend is just like, it made, to be honest, like, I see, fuck, the way Max just basically said, okay, yeah, I'll hold this 5th place penalty, but I'll still be second by the time we end lap 1. It was just crazy. Because basically, no one else could touch him apart from Lewis.
Where was
It just pissed
Bottas?
me off.
What was
I
Bottas?
don't know.
Bottas went
I don't
back.
know.
No, we already caught Bottas at the beginning of the race.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
It was nowhere to be found.
that's
Bottas was nowhere to be found. Perez, like, I don't even know where Perez started that race from because I think it was up doing recovery as usual, like your Davido, like out here, like trying to do recovery every weekend as usual. Like, Bottas was rubbish. Like, he couldn't match Lewis I mean, he's never been able to match Lewis, but he was just crap.
No, but Bottas low-key went missing for like 3 years, three races straight after Brazil.
Bro, he went missing.
Even though he got a podium, it was just like nothing. He was
nobody's low key talking about that. He went missing.
Yeah, and he ended up retiring from this race anyway because he had puncture. I remember he had puncture and he retired.
Let's talk about the last 2 races, guys. Let's get this season review done. If you're still listening,
We have to
because you've listened for 2.5 hours. You're a legend.
Yeah, it's been a long one. Sorry, guys.
You might have to take breaks for this one.
You might have to take breaks, multiple breaks.
Hey, listen. We're going to be gone for a while, so you can listen to this in little bits over Christmas. You know what I mean? Saudi,
like a little advent calendar.
Yeah, it's a little advent calendar. Every 10 minutes of the port, just 10 minutes.
You do it 30 minutes a day. Yeah, you get done by. And
those people that did send in listeners' questions, we will do your listeners' questions as well.
Shout out J Starship, man.
Even this Max fan, he's been here most of the time as well.
Shout out
to this Max fan. Yeah, man, you guys have been here, man. You've been holding it down. 18 people watching. Shouts to all of you guys. I know I see a comment. Nam, we've done all the Bottas slander. You're gonna have to rewind, brother. We've cooked him. We cooked him for a very long time. We're not going back to that. The person that he got cooked. Don't worry about it. Saudi, new track. Bit of a weird track. Fugazi Baku. Like no corners. This track's going to be on the calendar for a while. I'm not a fan of it. I'm telling you now.
Streets are calling it.
I disagree. I think it's all right.
You think it's all right? What's good about it?
I think it's all right track. I can't lie. I feel like it's high speed first of all. Yeah, nah, you know what? I can't lie. I feel like the track is shit, you know. You might have
So why did you make it? I tried to defend it. What's good?
Bro, I was just like, you know what? It's high speed. It might be good still, and then my mind just went blank. You know what?
It's a decent track for like
it's easy, bro. It's like, an MVQ level 2.
I'm trying to think of all the overtaking spots. It's just like my mind has gone completely
like
black. I'm like, what the hell is even like?
The only overtake I remember is Yuki on Leclerc. That's all I remember.
Bro, why are you doing that?
That's all I remember.
But it happened though.
Bro, we done Leclerc.
Leclerc don't like that track because that guy, crashed into another wall. How'd you crash into another wall?
No comments. So we saw the greatest quality lap that never was in this year.
But it didn't happen.
Is it this one or the Leclerc one?
Let's
That's a discussion. But I know
the greatest quality lap that Anik, you go first. What's your selection?
Well, I'll be honest with you. Leclerc's lap actually happened, and he was P1. Max never made it to P1, so it's Leclerc's.
All right.
But anyway, Max on that.
Go on.
He was doing all right, but he was going quicker and quicker and quicker. And if you actually look the way in which he actually entered the last corner, he went a bit wide, but he just thought, I'm Max Verstappen, I can still get on the gas as I usually do. When he got onto the gas, he got onto the gas actually a bit further wide than what he usually would. And he careered it into the wall. It was a great lap. We were watching it, great lap. But, you know, I think at that point, it was probably getting into his head now that, yeah, you know, I could, you know, it's going to get crazy now with the championship. I need to do everything I can to win. It was a great lap up until that point, but it was the lap that never was. So
you got greedy. You got greedy. On your steering wheel, you can see you're 2 tenths up. Yeah, you got 1 corner left. Just even if you kind of fuck it up a little bit, just go slow in that corner.
Yeah,
you straight. You're still gonna get P1. So I don't really understand. Obviously, he locked up. What was it? The front left or was it the rear left? I can't remember which one he locked up. He just needed to take it easy on that last corner. If you're entering that last corner, you're 2 tenths up. You're safe home, man. That's not even really a corner. You know what I'm saying? So, just a little bit of composure there, and he would have had P1 there. But
that's the issue.
We saw,
but guys got no composure. That's. I mean, okay, he won the championship, cool, but he just doesn't know when to switch it off or turn it down. He just ham down, put up a crash, put up a crash. That's it.
Let's talk. He didn't show composure that whole weekend. I think that was his worst weekend the whole season. His head was absolutely fried. Mars, let's talk about the race. Let's talk about brake check. Let's talk about brake check.
I'm tired of talking about brake check. I've been in too many spaces, and all I'm hearing is brake check, bro. Like,
do the listeners want to know about brake check? I think they're all aware of brake check.
I think they're all aware what happened. It was a horrible race all over, and
it's one of the worst races I've ever seen.
Yeah, safety car after safety car, the red flag. It was like, again, they did so much that was going to be in Verstappen's hands, and he still didn't win it. And it was like, how did you not win that race? Like, they literally gave him.
Lewis was faster than him in that race.
Yeah, obviously Lewis was faster, but they gave him so many opportunities to catch up and overtake him or take him. And then the whole again, it was Masi and Monza season 4, bruv. What, this guy out here shot in grid positions, saying, you can have this position if you do this, do that. I'll give you a brick, but I'll give them other man 3 bricks.
And I'm gonna take 2 bricks from Ocon, and I'm gonna try to distribute Ocon's brick across the 3 of you. Fuck yeah.
So do you know what? I'll be honest. Yeah, I'll be honest. I watched that race with somebody that's not a Formula 1 fan, and he said, "What the fuck is this shit?" I think that was one of the worst advertisements of the sport. That race,
exactly.
One of the worst advertisements of the sport. If you're trying to get someone into watching Formula 1 and you make them sit down for 2.5 hours and they watched that, this is not it. This is not it.
Brother, they should have taken him. Brother, as soon as there was like negotiating on the radio that we heard, they should have taken him up all the way up until Burj Khalifa, whatever they have in Saudi, bro. Should have just thrown him off right there, bro. That's such a joke, bro. How is that even like a thing?
They should have gulagged him.
You know what? Wild, yeah. The fact that they had that conversation, that's wild. The second part is that
they aired it.
You know the final part.
Man.
You know what makes it worse? Yeah, it's like they totally forgot about Ocon. It's like,
and they just focus on those two.
So what's gonna happen to Ocon? It's like Red Bull were like, we'll take.
You know what's so funny? There's a delay. Yeah. There's a delay. They listen to the radio messages before they broadcast it, so they can hear what's going on. So why
did they broadcast that?
It's just like the last 2 races, yeah, they were broadcasting some nasty things, and you're like, really? You're really gonna be playing that out, like,
bro? No one stepped in. There's not a single person that stepped in when Horner was talking all of this shit. Not a single person that stepped in when Max was talking all of this shit. There's not a single person that stepped in when Helmut Marko was talking all of this shit. There's not a single person when all of this shit got like to boiling point with all of the talk and all of the attacks against each other. Like, this is such a it's honestly, like, I said this like I said this in a tweet, and some people like laughed at me, but I was honestly there sitting there thinking like, this is one of the most. We're gonna look back on this season and then think about how embarrassing it is, like on so many fronts, because it was such an embarrassment, honestly. Regardless of the entertainment and some of the great races that we had, there's just so much embarrassing, like shameful stuff that happens this season that we really, really need to kind of like have a look at and
I feel
talk
like
about.
a lot of human codes, like forget about sport. I feel like a lot of human codes were broken like this year. Like you had Christian always talking on Lewis's name. Look, Christian was so shameless. He said, yeah, you see, sector 2 and 3 are like the engine dependent sectors on this track. You could see what Max did in sector 1. He was the fastest. That was the driver dependent part of the track. But your man binned it in sector 3.
Yeah.
He binned it on the straight.
I forgot he said that, you know. I actually forgot he said that.
He binned it
was nasty.
on the straight.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So,
Anik, who's going to say something?
So I just want to quickly summarize on this. Yeah, like I don't think in all my years of watching Formula One racing ever heard a negotiation like that from Masi to the teams and then broadcast it and let us know what the hell's going on. And even when you're doing that negotiation over the radio, you got it fucking wrong. Like what the fuck?
And it's not even. And it's not even
the...
Yeah. And I want to say he's not even the negotiating type. It's not like he's even that type of guy that people respect. He's a wet wipe. So who you're gonna sit there and try and negotiate with someone? They're gonna look at you like you're a dickhead because you are. Like, what's even the point of that?
And that's when I realized as well. Yeah. So I was like checking out content for days. Obviously, I was away. I wasn't in the UK. But I was checking out the content. I was seeing what Max was doing. I was looking at the telemetry on the brake thing. Yeah, okay. That just crystallized for me that this guy's a really dangerous driver. The fact that when him and Lewis were battling, you know, he was like taking him off circuit, driving him off circuit. Even Lewis coming on the radio saying, this guy's crazy, man. Fair enough, okay? Michael Masi or the stewards or whatever after the race turned around and said, yeah, you know what? We're going to issue Max all these penalties. So I think he got 15 seconds worth of penalties or something. It didn't affect his race position.
He got disqualified, man. He should have been disqualified.
No, he got a 10-second penalty as well.
Was it 10?
Yeah, he got 5
10 because they were so far ahead of everybody else. It didn't really matter.
Yeah. So look, that happens, yeah. But I feel actually upset at myself because I should have foreseen this Masi guy doing something. Going into the last race, yeah. What was on our lips? What were we talking about? We're talking about Max being a dangerous driver or running Lewis off track because he knows that he's got one more race than him. If he takes off Lewis, he's going to win the championship. I'm actually upset at myself because I should have seen what this Masi guy was doing the whole year, and he should have ended up having a massive effect on the championship. And that's exactly what happened.
Nobody spoke about it. Nobody spoke about it pre-race. Nobody spoke about it.
No one spoke about it, and we should have spoken about it.
I'm upset at myself. Bad decision making.
I feel like you guys got to allow yourselves because the case is that first of all, there was a huge discussion about the fact that they were looking to minimize as much as they can their involvement in the race, which I mean, maybe I'm a dumb one here, but I personally believe because I thought this race was going to be the most viewed event, probably in the world at that time, and they would want to put up like the best viewing experience that they can. Second of all, even in the case that they were going to get involved, I don't think anybody could have foresaw what they actually did. It wasn't like there was a questionable incident on the track. I mean, there was a questionable incident on the track, and then they overlooked it. They ruled it as no incident. But then, even then, they had that incident at the end where they literally took the trophy out of Lewis's hands and gave it to Max, like as literal as they possibly could. I never in a million years thought they would ever do that. I thought they would have some kind of decorum to not do that. So even then, I can't it completely caught me off surprise. Maybe and that's how I feel like a lot of people are. Like they should have been robbed this guy.
I'm gonna be real,
But my argument is we should have been more aware that this guy could play a massive role in the championship.
I can't even blame Masi just on that. I can't just put it on Masi. That was the FIA, like literally putting Lewis in his place. Like, I think they really begrudged what the voice he has. And you know how like people talk about players being bigger than the sport. Like you look at football, Messi, Ronaldo, they're kind of bigger than football itself. Like you look at basketball, LeBron James, he's bigger than football. It's by basketball itself. Lewis Hamilton is kind of on that level where he's bigger than Formula One itself. And the fact that the fact that he came last year, yeah, and made F1 do something they didn't want to do in terms of all this talking about racial injustice and all the stuff and getting people involved, it could get to a point where Lewis gets so much power as a driver that if he says, I don't, and he kind of slightly did it in Saudi Arabia, where he says, I don't think we should be driving here. That can start affecting things. If Lewis says, and he has influence over other drivers and saying, I don't want to be driving here because of such and such, I don't agree with the way they do things in certain countries, and that now comes back, it's kind of like they had to put him in his place before it gets to that stage. And I feel like this is what they've done. It was like kind of, we're bigger than you and we can do things to you. Like, we don't care. Like, that's what I get. That's the feeling I get from what the FIA and F1 done to Lewis that Sunday. It was about, while yes, it was about creating a spectacle, and they did what they did to create a spectacle, but it was also, they kind of knew the situation they were putting Lewis in, and it was just to put him in his place to know, like, behave yourself from now on and don't be making us do things that we don't want to do, and don't be running your mouth. Because I feel like that comment he made in Saudi Arabia can really hurt relationships in the future and the money that they get in terms of sponsorship. If your biggest driver is saying, I don't want to race here, and if he decides to start protesting, say, I'm not turning up to the race, that's a lot of viewers. That's a lot of viewers that they're losing. So it is just putting him in, is trying to put him in his place, I feel like.
Yeah. I think when we talk about Saudi and we talk about Abu Dhabi especially, I feel like, why does the FIA have to be so involved in those two last races? Why it should have just been settled on track and let these guys do what they need to do. I think the first couple of laps as well, I thought Abu Dhabi was kind of like clean sailing for Lewis Hamilton. It was going to win 8 seconds. I didn't think there was any particular incidences. Max wasn't really there to cause any incidences in the first place.
Would it, like, let me ask this question as well. Would it not have been, would it have not been better and resulted in more exciting racing if you just cleared the car and then put the safety car in? Leave all the cars where they are. Don't move any of the lap cars or anything like that. Max can still get through those lap cars pretty easily, and you still have a really exciting race at the end, where there wouldn't be all this controversy about the situation, and there would be a pretty solid chance that Max could possibly win in that situation, and with also Lewis as well, and you don't have all this controversy. But the fact of the matter is, this is why I keep saying that he's been robbed, because you cannot have some of the cars lap and then end the safety at almost exactly after that. You cannot do that. Anybody with eyes can see that is not how you conduct a race. So it's just it makes completely no sense to me. That's just complete bullshit to me.
I think we've seen a season where entertainment's been picked over driving.
100%, yeah. Because I'm about to say that.
But that's not entertainment, though. The argument I'm putting right now is that you could have had.
No. When I mean by entertainment, I mean I'm talking about manufactured entertainment, attempting to manufacture entertainment.
What they've manufactured now,
he didn't even do it correctly.
What they've manufactured now, they haven't manufactured entertainment. They manufacture controversy and a fake champion. That's what they manufacture.
They haven't, because at the end of the day, what's going to happen, is when we watch it back next year and the year after, they're going to hide all of this other stuff that they added. All we're going to see is that highlight of Max and Lewis. Is they're going to show safety car, and then Max and Lewis going at it. That's it. They're not going to talk about the controversy of the no lap cars lap the blah blah. They're not going to show that. They're just going to show there was a crash, there was a safety car, and then Max and Lewis had to
100%.
fight it out.
But we're still gonna be here. We're still gonna be here, Mars. We're still gonna be here talking about
new audiences.
But they can do that if they want to. No, they can do that if they want to, Mars. But we're still gonna be here talking about this. You know, there's fans all over the place that watch this.
When another 5 million fans come in like 5 years' time, they're not going to know about this. All they're going to see, if they ever go watch the highlights, they're going to see that what I just explained, and they're just going to see on Wikipedia Max won 2021. That's all they're going to know. Look, how many times has Schumacher's won controversially? A lot of us didn't know about this until the documentary the other day. I didn't know.
Nobody knows about Senna Prost 1990 unless you bloody go research it. If you checked who won 1990, it's gonna say Senna.
Unless you read the details of it.
That you're talking about the 90s and the early 2000s.
So I think
right now.
This is history.
So I think just on this,
someone from history down the line, they're gonna look back and look. Oh yeah, cool. 2021 Max won. That's it. They're not gonna look at the nuances and all the cooks and crannies or whatever. They're just gonna look at the forefront.
No, but I feel like honestly, a lot of this conversation is defeatist, in my opinion. I feel like if you really want people to know that this was a farce of a final race of a championship showdown, you can let people know. There are countless content creators such as us, you know, making pods, making videos, making all of that we will let people know that this happened the way it does, and this is why it isn't acceptable. There's social media, there's all of that. So I don't feel like I feel like if you're talking about if you're talking about Wikipedia and champions and all of that, there's still things that fans can say to say that this happened and it wasn't acceptable that way. And
the streets ain't gonna care about the arts, bro. The streets don't.
The streets are the only people that are going to care about it. It's the establishment and the management.
That's right.
So the way I view it.
Go ahead, Anna. Go ahead.
So like the way I view it is, okay, the history books and records are going to say Max Verstappen won it, but it's our job here to educate and show people exactly what happened last Sunday, and we need to make sure that word is spread and is spread as far as possible, because what we saw, that was not racing. That is not what we enjoyed. That's not what we set up to do. That's not what we, wanted to discuss. Yeah. What we saw was entertainment. That was entertainment. And that's what it was. And let's continue doing what we're doing, because we've been doing it the past week, and we need to make sure that that's the case.
Yeah. My only thing is that now we've seen this happen. Yeah. I don't know how we can move on next season. And even if Lewis does win, how do we know it was him and it's not just part of a storyline? For me, like, it doesn't have to. They don't have to tell the drivers. The teams can engineer it in a way that it's like the storyline, the great comeback of Lewis Hamilton. How are we gonna know in ourselves that it's Lewis winning this and not just part of another storyline for F1?
But then if you paint that brush, you would have to say that everything's the storyline. All the seasons before that was storyline.
Listen,
did you see any?
I think we should move on. Listen, this was like, we're gonna be talking about this forever. We did a whole podcast last week about it for how long.
We'll do another space.
We're gonna do a space on it, so don't worry, guys. But yeah, that season finale to a season that was a up there season in compared to other seasons. You know what I mean? Kind of left a sour taste in the mouth about that last lap and what went down. But yeah, we're gonna move on to listeners' questions.
Reminds me of the guy in the space that said it was like Game of Thrones. And the last
season 8
of Game of Thrones. That was funny.
That's a good comparison.
That was funny.
All right.
That was a very good comparison.
Right. Listeners' questions. I'm just going to go through a couple of them. We're not going to go through all of them because we'll go through them on the next pod. And we have ran for like 2 hours, nearly 3 hours now. So let's go. Uzar Syed, another content creator. Shout outs to you. Who do you think will have the worst car on the grid next season? My guess is Alfa Romeo. Anik, who do you think is going to have the worst car on the grid?
That's something we agree on, Mahad. Alfa Romeo as well. These guys have no. Yeah, they. I don't think they got Scooby Doo. What's going on there? The drivers as well. They have Bottas and Zhou or Joe or
Joe,
whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, nah. I don't think they're going to do much. So yeah, Alfa Romeo for me.
Yeah, Tarek.
Haas for sure. I think Haas
the man have been developing their car for time.
No, they. You take one look at their season right now. You just know they don't have shit for next season. At least AlphaTauri, they might have a little bit of a Ferrari stimulus or something. Haas have just got 9. Like it's as clear as day that Haas just ain't gonna do shit to me. For me,
Mark's
Haas have got a Ferrari B team working on their car. So no, they ain't doing nothing, bro.
Good Ferrari slander. Kwame.
Alfa Romeo.
Conley.
Haas, man. Them man don't even have spare parts. It's Haas, bro.
These man got bare wind tunnel time and they're still getting last shouts, you know. This is ridiculous.
Bro, they ran out of car parts, man.
Them man are putting Fisher Price cars in the wind tunnel just to make up time. Just like, okay, why not?
Haas, bro.
This is outrageous. We've got a question from Papilo17. Shout out to Papilo. If McLaren, Ferrari, Mercedes, and Red Bull all have equal cars next season, what would the final driver standards be? I'm not going to do all 8. Let's say top 3. Anik, who's top 3? McLaren,
Lewis.
Ferrari, Mercedes, RB. Yeah, Lewis first.
Yeah, Lewis, Leclerc, Lando.
Yeah,
3 L's.
Lando. Okay. Tarek.
Lewis, Max, and Sainz. Yeah, Lewis, Max, and Sainz.
Mark, you said Lewis, and who else?
Same. Lewis, Max, Sainz.
Sainz. Kwame.
Yeah, no, big down for this question. Yeah, I say Lewis, Max, Charles.
Lewis, Max, Charles. Conley.
Yeah, I agree. Lewis, Max. Toss up between Sainz and nah, fuck it. I don't rate George Russell, so it's Lewis, Sainz or Lewis, Sainz. Fuck George Russell, man. I don't rate George Russell. Lewis, Max, Norris.
I'm gonna say Lewis, Max, and Norris as well. So I agree with that. Actually, moving on to George Russell, we've got a question from the Outliers at the Outliers. Who finishes higher in the Drivers' Championship next year? Carlos Sainz or George Russell? Anik.
Carlos Sainz. That Ferrari, man.
Yeah, Sainz for me as well.
Marks, I already know who Marks is going to say.
No, I think that's a terrible question. Oh, man.
Sainz or Russell, brother?
Ferrari ain't going to do shit. So
what's bigger, your George Russell or
George Russell? You know what? That's actually a bit of a mad question because we don't know whether Mercedes or Ferrari are going to have the better car. Ferrari might as well have the better car.
You've got to stick your neck out and answer it, innit?
Yeah.
Stick your neck out. Mark, stick your neck out.
As I said, Ferrari ain't no 9, so George.
Kwame?
George.
Conley?
I don't know, man. I feel like in as much as there's probably going to be like Grazzi, Ragazzi, Sera Tutti, Gassi at Tutti, I feel like Mercedes stacks will give Judge the upper hand.
Yeah. I'm gonna say George Russell still. Man, can't give you no.
And I like Junior. I like Junior. Junior's a good
Junior's a good Junior from now, yeah.
Yeah.
Good kid from
let's do one more question. I'm gonna put the other questions on. Shout outs to Quick Stop. How does it feel to build one of the coolest platforms in Formula One? We're legends, man. Let's pat ourselves on the back. Shout outs to Quick Stop. Last question from at Benjamin. What driver do you have on your 2022 fraud list? So just one driver. Anik, who's on your fraud list for next year?
Fraud. I would have said Danny Rick, man, but nah. Can I say Danny Rick or Perez? Is that allowed? Are they on the fraud list or watch list already?
They're already on the fraud watch list. No, but I'm saying, who's the guy you're keeping an eye out on? I'm saying this guy's
your agenda. Yeah.
One driver. Max.
Max.
Okay. Tarek.
This is what? This is for 2022, yeah.
2022. Who you looking at and saying this guy's a fraud and he's gonna get exploded?
You know what? Come back to me on this one because this is a bit of a tough one still. You know.
Okay. Mark's gone.
George.
That's an easy. That's
answer.
an easy free ball. That's an easy free ball. Kwame, go on.
Zhao.
Zhao. Man said
Yeah.
Zhao.
Why are you
Drop
hating
there,
on a
bro.
rookie, man, Kwame? Why are you hating on a
Hey,
rookie?
straight
Bro,
to
if
drop,
man good,
said
man
this
not good.
guy's a fraud.
This is just your
Hey,
Oscar
man's
Piastri.
been in F2 for 18 years, you know.
This is just
He
your
ain't won
Oscar Piastri. He just
3 years,
wants
he came third in F2 in your first season. You get to F1. It's a bit higgy. Je peux Zhao, I'm
Like-
man.
I don't know, man. Easy slam dunk for me is George Russell, but I don't know, man. I'm looking at Daniel Joseph Ricciardo a certain type of way. So yeah, your name can be Joseph, and you're doing up rubbish numbers, bro. Yeah.
I'm saying Charles Leclerc.
You know what? I respect it.
All right. Other guys that put the questions, thanks for the questions. We're gonna answer those questions on the next pod. Thank you everybody that's listened so far. We're gonna end the pod today. We're gonna thank you for everybody that's rocked with us the whole season. We're gonna be back next year, and we're gonna be bringing out more content. Thanks for everybody that's helping us with our growth and everybody that's listening to us and shouting us out. We appreciate it. We love you all, man. So give everybody happy.
No one said anybody's hat.
No, yeah, the hat is Meedi, but we'll move on.
The hat is trash, by the way. That's a Meedi hat, bro.
All right, cool. Thank you all.
Nah, Anik,
all
I like
you.
the hat, bro. Don't worry.
No.
They're getting on to you, bro. I like the hat.
All right, cool. Thank you guys for coming on. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to all of you and everybody at home. We will be back soon with another pod. Peace.
All right, guys. Y'all take care.
Safe, everyone.
Happy holidays.